is suing his former neighbor, 27-year-old homemaker Karina Yandel, for harassment and slander. Karina is countersuing for an assault, harassment, and vandalism.
Order. Come to order. All rise. Now, this is case number 345 on the calendar in the matter of Butler versus Yandel. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Mr. Butler, you and your family and the defendant and her family used to be neighbors.
Yes, ma'am.
While you were neighbors, it is your claim that the defendant harassed and defamed both your family and your son.
And assault.
And assault. And you want to be compensated. The defendant says that after a series of drive-by shootings, she contacted the police. And after she contacted the police, you harassed her, assaulted her, and caused some damage to her property. How long had you been neighbors?
Approximately 4 years. I've been living in my residence for 4 years now.
How long were you living in the neighborhood?
I moved in there January of 1999, and he moved in there probably a year following.
A year after? You were there first?
Yes, ma'am.
So you weren't there for 4 years?
Approximately 4 years, July of 99.
July of 99 is now 4 years. She was there first?
Yes.
Okay. How many people in your family?
Family of 5.
You?
My wife and 3 kids.
How old are your children?
Son is 15. Another daughter is 13. Greenwich is 12.
Okay. Before this incident, had you had any difficulty with each other?
No.
Gotten along okay?
Well, we just never was around each other to get along or not get along. I just, I knew the type of person, people they were, so I just kind of stayed my distance.
I'd like to speak on that. Basically, I would walk up and down the street to get my daughter from the bus stop from school, and he would always be outside with a bunch of people. This was a daily thing. He used to say hi to me. I used to say hi to him, too. As for him saying the type of person I was...
I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
You said hi, so there were no problems.
No.
No problem, ma'am.
What happened in September of 2001? Because I assume that that's what precipitated this problem.
On September 20th, at about 2 o'clock...
in the afternoon?
Yes. Ralph came to my door, knocking at the door, says, I want to talk to Rod, which is my fiance. And then I said, okay, and then I went and got him. He came to the door. He goes, I want to talk to you, not your wife. He was like really, really like, I could tell something was wrong. And so he stepped to the door, and then he went outside and he closed the door behind him. So I was inside, and I was listening from the inside, and I could hear him yelling and getting really loud and rude with Rod, saying that your wife turned my stepson into the police, saying he's selling drugs out of my house. And then when he said that, then I opened the door and I told him, you know, Ralph, you need to get your story straight before you come down here threatening me. I said, none of that is true.
There had been a problem in the neighborhood with some shootings?
Yes. What happened with that was right across the street from his house, there was a lot of drug members hanging out selling drugs, and there was a lot of drive-bys that started occurring, and this was about 8 months ago.
Well, that had nothing to do with him. This was across the street from his house.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what happened was right, like side to side, on the same sidewalk area, my son was at the park in the sandbox. The first drive-by was about like 12 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday. And my son was out there when this happened. And my daughter comes running inside the house telling me, Mommy, they're shooting out there. And then I came out there, and then my son was laying down in the sand because he was scared, you know. He didn't want to get shot. And so then after that, there was about 3 or 4 more shootings within like a 2 weeks time period. There was 3 within 3 days. So every time that the police would come to check out the area, all these guys would run into the back of the carports, which lead into the back doors of the townhouses across the street from his house. So what I did was, my fiance and I, we walked down to speak to the officers. And we asked them if we could speak to them privately so we could kind of give them a feel out of who these people were to try and get this stuff resolved. So what happened from there was, when he came to my door that day on September 20th, he says, I'm not a punk B. You're not going to get away with this, you snitch. And he goes, the only reason you're saying anything to me right now is because Rod, which is my fiance, and my best friend Jeff, we were all there together. And he goes, that's why you're only saying anything. He goes, but you wait until you go walking down the street to get your daughter, you're going to get yours. And then he goes, snitches don't live long. And he takes off down the street really mad. Then he comes back about 5 minutes later with another guy that is a known drug dealer over there. He comes back up and he goes, you mother effers, snitches get stitches and they don't live long. And then the police showed up. And then they took my police report, which I have right here, and I stated everything that he said to me when he came to my door, that he threatened me.
I'd like to see them, please, Bird. What made you believe sir, that the defendant had accused your son of doing anything.
Yeah, because, Judge, she was stopping the little kids in the neighborhood, asking the kids what was going on down under the tree down in there. She was spreading rumors to the little kids, harassing the kids, saying that me and my son was selling drugs.
Ma'am, that's not true.
No. I don't think that that's true, sir.
Well, that's true.
No, I don't think that that's true. She may have been inquiring about what was going on
And she's
there.
up here babbling about drive-bys and whatever. I wasn't in none of those cars. I'm no drug dealer. You know, I haven't shot at nobody.
She
I haven't
never
ran in nobody's
accused
house.
you, from what she says, and I believe her. She never accused you of doing anything. She said that the drugs were being sold from a location across the street from your house.
Well,
Not
Judge,
in
it
front of
says
your-
right there in her claim, it says that I'm a violent drug dealer, and I threatened her life. That wasn't
If
said.
you'd like me to speak on that, I would love to.
Sure.
Okay, the fact of him selling drugs. I have a lady friend that walks through the neighborhood going down the street to the local store.
Did she buy some drugs from me?
Excuse me.
Did she buy drugs from me?
Excuse
Mr.
me.
Butler, don't speak yet. You'll get a chance.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyways, the lady's husband would always come by, and he was like a real skinny drug addict. He would walk by to his house, come in, be there for like maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, and then split, be gone. And this man was continually going there, getting whatever he had to do.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ralph Butler says his former neighbor, Karina Yandel, has accused him of being a drug dealer and on a separate occasion assaulted him with pepper spray. Karina denies making false accusations and claims the pepper spray was in self-defense.
Let's go back a moment. So he's outside talking to your fiancé, Rob. You hear him make these comments about snitches get stitches.
Yes.
You call the police and make a report. What happened after the police report?
The next day, my friend, which is my witness, Vicky Burciaga, she came over, and we were going to go walking down the street around the corner.
By
to
my
the,
house.
Yes, by his house. I walked on the other side of the street, but before I had did that, I told her the situation, and I told her that he threatened, really violent threats. So what I did was I had her carry some pepper spray, and I carried pepper spray. And I'm not going to lie about it. I had her carry a bat, which was out of sight, in case he approached me, which, in good thing, I did that. So we went to lunch. We went around the corner, had some Chinese food. He wasn't outside when I walked by the first time, on the other side of the street. So then when I come back by, he's sitting outside on his ice chest.
Now, when you walked back from lunch, were you walking back from lunch on the other side of the street?
Other side of the street, yes, ma'am.
No, that's a lie.
Mom,
That's a lie.
I mean,
Just a minute,
excuse
we're
me,
going to come
Judge
back
Judy.
in a second. Go ahead.
Okay. Anyways, I was on the other side of the street, and before I even got anywhere in front of his house, he seen me coming, and he started going off, just cussing and calling me all kinds of names. You better not come near me, I'll kill you, and just really like trying to be verbal. There was that teenage boy standing next to him. He says to the kid, go get Pam, which is about 2 or 3 houses from his house. Well, Pam steps outside, and she says, why are you threatening us with mace and a bat and asking all the little kids around here who's selling drugs? And I said, you know what, Pam? I said, Pam, that isn't true. And I said, what happened was Ralph came down and threatened to kill me yesterday. And right at that time, Ralph picked up this wooden table I have a picture of, and he picked it up above his head like this, and he called me a white Ku Klux Klan, Nazi FMB. And he went like this to throw it at me. And right when he did that, I maced him as much as I could. And I turned around and started running.
So you maced him.
So I maced him, and when he threw that table, the table hit me lightly right here as I was turning to run. And then I started running, and I looked back, and he was coming, and he picks up this metal chair right here. He picks up this metal chair to throw at me, and I remember screaming, no, Ralph, and I kept running, and I fell down. And then I got back up, and I also had my dog on a leash with me.
That's how
and
she got your scars, Your Honor.
Just a minute. You took your dog in to eat Chinese food?
No, he stayed outside. There's a tree like in the parking lot, and I had him on his leash, and he was tied to the
You
tree.
left the dog tied on a tree while you went in and had lunch?
Yeah. Well, if you've seen the area, you'd
She
understand.
premeditated. It's premeditated, Your Honor. She had, in fact, wanted to come down there and pepper spray me at that time.
Mr. Butler, I'm going to come back to you. I guarantee you.
Your
She's
Honor.
just
I'm just
lying,
asking some questions.
lying.
Mr. Butler,
Yes. I'll be good. I'm cool.
Your Honor, to tell you the truth, this neighborhood is known as the ghetto. To tell you
I
the
don't
truth.
care what it's known as.
So
I
that's
just wanna
why
know
I
you
took my
left your
dog
dog
to
tied to a tree while you went inside and had lunch.
Because he goes everywhere with me. And plus the fact that, you know, in case anything happened
All
to
right,
me,
so
you know,
you're
some
walking
sort of
down the
security.
street, you had your dog in your arms, he picked up something, he yelled, "Ralph, don't do that,"
Yeah.
whatever.
And then
what
I made
happened?
it to my house and I called 911 and the police arrived about 30 minutes later.
So that's the assault you're talking about in your counterclaim.
Yeah.
Now, the assault you're talking about in your claim, just pay attention, you're not listening, Mr. Butler. The assault you're talking about is being maced.
Yes.
Do either of you have any medical bills as a result of these two assaults?
No, it was just washing my eyes out at the hospital, going through all the drama, you know, just basically trying to hold my head up after letting this lady do something like that to me, you know.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you to tell me, Mr. Butler, she's coming down the street with her friend.
Yes.
And when you first saw her, on which side of the street was she? Your side of the street or the other
she
side?
walked right by my house, just like it was a thing to do.
In front of your house?
In front of my house, it wasn't even 5 feet, you know, it was just right there.
Okay, and you're sitting outside?
Yes. Well, at that point, Karina
She's walking by?
Walked by, she went to the store. She must have stayed at the store about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. She came back by, and at that time, I was sitting on the porch. She crossed the street and walked right in front of me. And I can't say what she told me, but she gave me a unpleasant gesture and told me I was lying. That's what she called me. That's her favorite word when she get mad.
That's not true.
So she walks over next door and knocked on the door. So she's trying to clarify and make them think that, oh, I'm lying about her calling all us. But as soon as, well, that's what she said.
Right now, you're on your porch.
Yeah.
And she's not on your porch.
She's not on my porch.
When did you come off your porch?
When she started pointing at me, cussing me out, I came off my porch and walked over across it.
Where did you walk across to?
Right next door to my house. And
So you walked up to her?
no, I didn't walk up to her. The lady, my neighbor, was standing right here. She maybe be standing on this side over here. I was talking to Pam, and they arguing back and forth. And next thing I know, this lady said, "You know what?" And shh, and started spraying me. And yes, I did pick up a table, quite big table. And my intention was to bust her in the head with it. But I couldn't see. I was blinded by the pepper spray. I could not see. If I could have seen, I would have continued that. You know, that's self-defense in my book. When you leave your house with a baseball bat, a dog, and some pepper spray, that's premeditated. I didn't do anything to this lady to make her want to do that.
Considering that the day before you had had somewhat of a confrontation with the plaintiff, why did you choose to arm yourself with a bat and 2 things of pepper spray and walk right by his house, not once, but twice?
Premeditated.
Hey! Do I look like I need your help?
No.
Explain that to me.
Okay, ma'am. The simple fact why I did was because my daughter, she always comes right at the end of our street right here to the bus stop. The fact
You weren't going to pick up your daughter, you were going to eat Chinese food.
I know that. But if I wasn't going to eat the Chinese food, I would have been walking down there to pick up my daughter from the bus stop anyways.
Listen, one thing is necessary to go and pick up your child, and one thing is choice.
Yeah, I made the choice. Maybe I made the wrong choice, but...
You sure did. And you anticipated trouble. First of all, Mr. Butler, you were wrong to go down to her house and have this confrontation with either her or her fiancé or her husband or whoever it was, because I don't think you had all your facts straight.
Yeah.
Now, from what I gather, she was trying to find out so that she could tell the police who was selling drugs on her block so that she would be safe from these shootings that were happening. Because that's why...
I would like to be safe, too.
Just a minute. And my sense is she was asking around children in the neighborhood, what do you know about drugs being sold and from where? You told me that. She was asking, which, you know, is kind of gutsy. Most people, when they're faced with that kind of situation, they don't ask any questions. They say, I better stay in my house and like, keep my doors locked. But you got annoyed that she was poking her nose around, which was the wrong thing to do on your part. She wasn't
But
doing
I didn't break
anything.
any laws. She did when she pepper sprayed me.
Just a second. That's not true, sir. If you went up to her house and said, snitches get stitches, that is breaking the law.
That's not what I said, Your Honor.
I would like you to tell me, Mr. Butler, and think very carefully, sir. What did you say to her fiancé when you came to the house that afternoon in September?
I was attempting to talk to him like man to man.
No, don't attempt it. What did you say to him?
I asked him why is his wife going around spreading rumors like that about what we're doing down there in my house. She just said that we were selling drugs. I asked him why she's going around spreading those rumors.
Who had told you that she said you were selling drugs out of your
The
house.
kids in the neighborhood. She was stopping them, asking them where was I selling drugs down at my residence.
So she was asking them. She wasn't telling them. Okay, so you asked them, and then what happened?
And me and him didn't get a chance to finish the conversation because it took both her husband and her friend or whatever to hold her. She was going to attack me, calling me. She said she's tired of living around all you drug dealing. And she wished we all just moved. I said, well, if you have a problem with black folks, why are you still living in the neighborhood? You know, I said, somebody holding you? And I left. I turned around and walked off. I was this, that, and he couldn't do nothing with her. He trying to hold her to keep her in the house. She was physically trying to attack me.
That's not true.
You know?
Okay, let me stop. I think that you made a mistake, Mr. Butler, when you went down to the house and tried to confront people without getting all the facts. If you believe that the defendant is a hothead, I certainly would have made other arrangements to speak to the fiancé. But
That's what I was
think
doing.
that she certainly has the right, living on that block, to go around and ask a lot of questions to find out who's selling drugs in that neighborhood, which is causing an element to come onto that block, which is endangering everybody, including children. That's not accusing you. That's asking a question. If you don't like the question, that's too bad. But she has absolutely no right to arm herself and her friend with mace and a baseball bat. And the day after this confrontation, go walk down your block. Well, she said she was carrying a dog. Couldn't have been a huge dog.
You big enough to bite?
How big a dog?
A dog, he had 50-some teeth in his mouth, for you big enough to bite, you know?
How big a dog?
A dog. It's not, you know, it's not no poodle, he was a dog.
Not a poodle.
No.
Okay. I find that you put yourself in harm's way by being stupid enough right after this altercation to walk by, arm yourself, looking for trouble, go out to eat, come back in the same direction, pass by his house, cross over to his side of the street. I mean, you're just looking for trouble. And you found it. You looked for trouble and you found it.
You know, might add one thing?
No, does it sound like you're losing?
Well, no, I just want to say one word.
No.
Huh?
I talk.
Okay.
Do you allow your wife to talk?
Yeah, I don't control my wife. She does what she pretty much wants.
Yeah, yeah?
Yeah.
Good. You had no right
I know.
to spray him in the face. He has to be compensated for that civilly if that's what he wants. Now,
That's
some
what I
of that
want.
has to be mitigated because, Mr. Butler, I believe that you got a little hot under the collar.
Yeah, but can I explain one thing to you?
I don't want you to explain anything to me. I want you to listen.
Yeah.
You got hot under the collar.
Very hot.
Right.
Yes.
Before you got sprayed with the mace.
No.
Sure you did. You were hot when you came down there to talk to her friend.
But I didn't go to her residence. She came to mine.
No. No. She didn't, Mr. Butler. You were sitting on your porch when she walked by. You went over towards Pam's house, where she was, and the two of you started talking. Now, your wife is sitting there, and she looks like a very nice lady, and she's nodding her head up and down. You got hot. That doesn't excuse getting maced in the face. Doesn't excuse that at all. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You're going to stand in front of the 90% black neighborhood and call everybody. You expect to get what you got coming to you.
Ralph, you didn't deserve...
Year-old hair replacement company owner Rima Sapien is suing customer 40-year-old internet service provider Sue Green for the unpaid balance on wigs for her 17-year-old son Augie. Sue has a countersuit for the money she's already paid.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 396 on the calendar in the matter of Sapien versus Green. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Sapien, you are in the wig business.
Yes, I am.
The defendant signed a contract with you for 3 wigs for her son, who has a medical condition which creates a baldness. They signed the contract for 3 wigs. You furnished 1. They were dissatisfied with the one you furnished. You are suing them for the remaining 2 pursuant to the contract.
No, they weren't dissatisfied.
Shh, just a second.
Sorry.
They say they were dissatisfied. They canceled the other 2 wigs. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
You want the money for the other 2 wigs.
Yes.
Counterclaim requests the money that you paid for the 1 wig that you did in fact receive, which you said was not as promised. Can I see a copy of the contract that they signed? Your Honor, can I just mention something?
Not until I read.
So you ordered all 3 wigs at the time?
No, I didn't.
You ordered 1?
Yes, that's right.
And when did you deliver that 1?
The first one I delivered, I ordered on July, exactly July 12th, and I delivered the first one on August 16th.
Okay. Do you have that one here?
No,
That wig?
he used it.
Where is that one?
I have it, Your Honor.
Can I see it?
Yes.
Would you show it to the plaintiff and ask if that's the wig she delivered?
No, with the base. Yes, it is.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Can I see it, please?
Originally, it comes like this.
I'd like to see how you say it comes originally.
This is the second one that I ordered, and they didn't pick it up.
Okay. Can I see it, please?
That's the original. It comes in a long version, 5 inches, and then they choose a style.
Now, I see you're wearing blonde. Why wasn't this?
That's the color that her mother requested as the sample, because when I take an order, I write all the specification of the customer is, because it's custom made, she can order it any way she wants. She told me that Augie's hair was in her color, her own color. So she requested me to take her own sample of color and order it the way that she wanted it. So that's what I did.
That's her color. This isn't her color.
But she gave me that picture. She colored it or whatever she did, but that's the sample.
And I'm just surprised because clearly this young man has blue eyes, he has light skin, and he should have the same color, and his mother's hair is much lighter than these wigs.
That was the color that I took it from her. She told me that that's my color. I cut my hair and this is my color.
Oh. You delivered this wig. How much after you delivered that wig did the defendant... Shh, listen to my question.
Okay.
Did the defendant tell you that she was dissatisfied with the wig?
No.
How much? Well, eventually she told you she was dissatisfied because she canceled the order.
No, she didn't.
Okay.
Because what happens is the contract, I met it in a monthly basis.
Just tell me what happened in this case. Now,
what happened?
You delivered this wig.
Yes.
You put it on her son, and they left.
Yes, on August.
August 16th.
Past September, October, they just continue coming to my establishment, purchasing supplies that they need to use to keep it. They were insisting that they want to take care of it themselves at home, so I trained them, came to my business, I trained them how to do it. They purchase supplies, take it home, and take care of it.
Okay.
So every time I saw him, everything is great. The pictures of a summer school is great. Girlfriend loves it. Friends are accepting. He looks great. That's what I got. On October 1st, she called me. She says, did you receive the check? I said, yes, I did. She says, I just want you to order it, the second one, because we don't want to rush it like the first one we did. I wanted to have it ready. I said, okay, I order it. Are you sure everything is the same? Everything the same. I specifically asked, the color is the same? She said, yes. I said, measurement is good. She said, yes. I said, okay, then I ordered it.
This was on October 1st.
That's right.
Okay, go ahead.
So I ordered the October 1st one. The order went out, I have here. Then I called on 2nd or 3rd of November because I didn't receive her payment. So I called in, I said, Mrs. Green, I didn't receive your check. She said, oh, you're not going to receive it because I don't want it anymore. I said, what do you mean? You called me in October and asked me to order a custom-made piece. She said, well, we find somewhere that is cheaper, and yours is very expensive, so we don't want it. I said, I'm sorry, but you cannot cancel a contract just because you find a cheaper place. She says, no, we find a cheaper place. You can return it. That's a lie. You're a liar. You're a cheater. You can return it anytime you want. I said, I cannot. This is a custom-made. This is a factory.
Okay, and that's where that's where it stopped.
That after a conversation that I'm going to put a lawsuit against them, they start to coming up with they're not satisfied. That's a
okay,
junk.
but let me hear from Ms. Green now.
Sure.
Okay. Did you or did you not have a conversation with the plaintiff on or about October 1st?
Yes, it was like...
Just a second. I'm asking the questions.
I'm sorry.
And during the course of that conversation, did you, in fact, instruct her to order a second wig?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe...
Stop there. Stop. Just stop. Now, between October 1st and November 3rd, when she contacted you, what caused you to tell her that you were not going to pay her pursuant to the contract?
The receipt of a true custom wig, a wig that came the correct color, the correct texture, the correct fit, a ventilated cap, and sideburns, which become a male. Her wig, there's nothing custom about it.
Ms. Green, it's become a much easier case than I originally anticipated.
Sapien says customer Sue Green ordered wigs for her 17-year-old son and has never paid.
Something happened after October 1st. You went comparative shopping, and you saw a wig that you liked better, right?
No.
Well, had to happen after October 1st, madam.
It did, but those were not the circumstances in which it transpired. Because on August 16th, yes, we did receive the wig. As a matter of fact, I have a picture to show you, Your Honor, of how my son looked when he came home.
More than happy to take a look at it.
When he had the wig cut and he was in the salon, I was stunned. My son had hair for the first time in 3 years. But when we came home, and I really looked at him, and my husband looked at him, we went through the roof. His hair looked ridiculous.
Miss Green.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's not waste each other's time.
All right.
If after a couple of weeks, after a couple of hours, after a couple of days, you decided that you didn't like the product and that the product was not as was promised, then you have a different scenario. In this case, you had this wig until October 1st. I assume your son wore the wig. I have to assume that
Yes.
he wore it up until October 1st because you, in fact, contacted the plaintiff and instructed her, pursuant to the contract, to order a second one.
Because I thought she was an expert,
Just
Your
a
Honor.
second. That's your problem.
No, it's not. It's
No,
under the state of California.
no, it is your problem, Miss Green.
No, ma'am, because I do have evidence that she defrauded me and she represented herself as a company that does not exist anymore. I have evidence that the contract I signed is with a company that no longer is allowed to do business in the state of California.
I'll see it. That you didn't know on October 1st.
No, I found that out.
That you didn't know on October 1st.
Because,
Let me
ma'am,
see.
I relied on her expertise. I'd never handled a hairpiece before.
Just a minute.
I thought what she was telling me was the truth. I thought her expert opinion about the fact that the sweat was collecting under the wig. This wig was designed to be worn 30 days at a time.
Just a minute. HRC International, Inc. Is that your company?
I'm one of the franchises.
Their corporate powers, rights, and privileges had been suspended.
No, that was for the Wilshire office. I am a Glendale HRC, each
You're sure
location. Torrance HRC, Newport Beach HRC, Glendale HRC.
I have
Originally, it doesn't have nothing to do with me. It's a different HRC, another location of HRC, let's say. That's the Wilshire office. If you can make a phone call, you're going to see that it's closed.
Right. This talks about the Wilshire Center.
Yes.
But, Your Honor, I had no idea that any of it was out of business. Her business card, the brochure.
Miss Green, that had absolutely nothing to do with your
Yes.
judgment. I have to tell you, Miss Sapien, I don't know what they did as far as grooming or as far as color or as far, I don't know whether before they brought this piece to me, they put it in bleach. That's a whole possibility.
Yes.
All right? But this piece, the quality of this is certainly different from this piece.
Yes.
The color is certainly different. However, the defendant called and ordered a second hairpiece on October the 1st.
Yes, Your Honor.
And based upon her telephone call, because you had not ordered another hairpiece, up until that time, don't go like this. Up until that time, if she had not called, you would not have been out any more money than the one hairpiece that she may or may not have fully paid for. I don't know whether she did or not under
Your
the
Honor.
contract.
Exactly.
But then she went and called, and pursuant to your direction, she ordered another one. So, Miss Green,
Yes.
you are going to pay for two, not three, two hairpieces because that's what you ordered.
But, Your Honor, that contract is invalid. Hair Replacement Centers Incorporated is not in business.
I didn't
thought...
say, just a second, that's not true.
Yes,
You
it
haven't-
is true.
No,
Hair
Miss
Replacement
Sapien,
Centers.
listen to me very carefully. That is not, as far as I know, true.
I offered you the papers, Your
I
Honor.
read the papers, and I'm
Yes.
telling you that her franchise is not
What franchise?
Pay careful attention to
I
me,
have
madam.
nothing about her
Pay careful
franchise.
attention to me, madam.
But
Just
I
pay attention. It may very well be, Miss Green, that her place is not licensed anymore. These papers do not establish it.
But those papers show that the contract I signed, if you notice the name on item number 1 of the contract, is not her name. It's the gentleman who represents hair replacement centers.
Listen to me.
Original institution.
It has absolutely nothing to do with this guy. I want you to forget that. That's legalistic mumbo jumbo. Listen to me carefully, Miss Green, so that you fully understand each other. Acting on your words and under the terms of your agreement, she did in fact call, order that product from her supplier to her detriment, and you are going to pay for them. She is not, however, going to pay for the third one because she is dissatisfied, she says, now with this product. You have not suffered any financial damage because you haven't ordered the third wig from your supplier.
Not yet.
Is
sir.
that correct?
Yes.
Now, how much was the first wig?
Each piece came up to $866.66.
They were the same price?
Yes, all of them are the same price.
$866.
Yes.
And how much did she pay?
She paid $1,076.99.
Your Honor, I thought she was an expert. It did not come to light that she was deceiving me.
You owe her
until much later.
$655, Miss Green. Pay her. Your counterclaim is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are
Thank you, Your
excused.
Honor.
You may step out.
Her first reaction was that she wanted to jam me for money.
I didn't knew her displeased until I got harassment letters from him towards me that he's going to do this and that to me because I'm going after the money.
I couldn't even do any minor sport activities because the sweat would build up in my wig and it'd just be so uncomfortable. It'd be terrible.
If they would call me and say I'm not satisfied, I will try to do my best to satisfy.
Jennifer Cronin is suing 30-year-old homemaker Kristen Kummerl for the money she paid to enter a road rally. Jennifer says she was given an incorrect start time and missed the event.
You're going to explain a lot of things to me, but what I get from your papers is that you saw an event advertised, some sort of an event with cars, and you decided that you wanted to become involved in this event. There was a registration fee of $160.
It's $120.
You saw a flyer for
For
it.
6 people, it's $20 per
You're going to
person.
explain to me how this all worked. It was $120. Defendant was running the thing, which you're going to explain to me. You sent in your money based upon what you saw on the flyer. Somebody told you what time the event started because that wasn't on the flyer that you had. As it turns out, the event started earlier. You got there and the game was over. You want your money back. The defendant says it's not her fault that you didn't see the right time and they spent your money. Okay, so now explain to me what this thing was.
It's a road rally. It's
What's a road rally?
basically a scavenger hunt on wheels. You go from destination to destination retrieving clues to tell you which destination you need to go to next. And at the end, there's like a final meeting place where everybody has dinner. In this case, it looked like it was like a party with beer and wine and food. And then there's prizes designated to those who get to the final destination first.
Well, that sounds like a fun event.
Yeah, it is.
Have you ever done it before?
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Oh, a lot of fun.
And you were running this.
Yes.
How did you see the event advertised, Miss Cronin?
I got a flyer.
Can I see it, please?
Yeah. From Lawrence. He is one of the persons that's listed on the flyer for questions and comments in coordinating it.
Good. And how did you get this flyer?
He handed it out to us at work. He's a coworker.
Show this to the defendant, please. Okay, so who did you contact to find out what time this thing started?
Lawrence, I asked him in person at work.
And as a result of your conversation with him, what time did you arrive at the event?
7:00 p.m.
And when you got there, was anybody there?
Nobody was there.
Who did you send your money to?
Kristen Kummerl, the defendant.
And you received her money, $120.
Yes, I did.
And what time had the event started?
At 5:30.
She wants her money back. Why shouldn't she get it back?
I don't feel that she should get it back because when she asked Mr. what time the road rally started, he stated that he wasn't sure, that he thought it started around 7 o'clock.
How do you know that?
Because I have spoken to
That's
him.
hearsay.
And that's okay.
That's hearsay.
If-
Why would she pay her money, $120, and then arrive after the event was over?
She also received a copy of the flyer that was not for distribution. It was for Larry and his wife to review before we had the copies made and had the flyers distributed.
Where does it say that on here?
It doesn't. This was the first time that we put on a road rally. I gave it to them because they're friends and said, review this, make sure we aren't missing any information, get back with me, we'll finalize it, get it printed, and then distribute it.
You told that to them?
Yes.
But they printed it, and distributed it.
And we told them, when I handed them final copies of the flyer, which I do have the finalized copy that does have the time on it, that if you gave this flyer, the old flyer, to anybody, you need to give them a new copy or tell them that we are starting at 5:30. That was a conversation that took place in my home with my sister.
Well, that's
as a
also
witness.
hearsay. Let's assume that you had that conversation with Larry. Ms. Cronin, did you ever speak to Larry again about the time?
I spoke to him once about the time, and my witness also spoke to him about the time, the day before the road rally.
Did you ever receive a follow-up flyer from Larry?
No, we did not.
So she gets her money back.
The money is not there. The money was spent towards putting on the road rally. I have all the receipts of exactly where the money went.
I don't care where the money went. You have to give her money back. You put on the event.
I was part of putting on the event, and the reason...
She sent you her money.
Yes, but I'm not the one...
You deposited the money, I assume.
Yes.
You have to give her money back.
I was not the one who gave her the wrong time, and if somebody that I asked wasn't sure about the starting time, I would have called the other two names on the flyer to verify that starting time.
Listen to me. The fact that one of your co-organizers made a mistake and passed out this flyer and gave out wrong information cannot be attributed to her. It has to be attributed to the person who took her money. You have to give her money back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $120. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Just because I was the one responsible for the money doesn't mean I should pay for somebody else's mistakes.
I told her I would be talking to her in a future date, and that was going to be in court.
Out of 172 or 108 people, everybody else showed up except for this one team.
Irene Bruce and her daughter, 17-year-old Kira Bruce, are suing 31-year-old tattoo shop owner Dave West for the cost to remove a tattoo.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Quiet, please. Yeah, this is case number 364 on the calendar in the matter of Bruce versus West. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
All right, the facts in this case are relatively simple. What is your first name?
My name is Kira Bruce.
Kira, you are 17 years old.
Yes.
Decided you wanted a tattoo.
Correct.
You went to the defendant's tattoo parlor.
Sure. That's acceptable.
And presented him with a fake ID and got your tattoo.
Yes.
Then you came home and your mother had a Shrek. You know what a Shrek is? She had a fit.
Good. I thought that was a movie.
Well, somebody took the word and made a movie out of it. But she had a fit. And you and your mother are suing the defendant because your mother believes that he should pay for at least half of the cost of removing the tattoo. Is that what this case is about?
That's exactly what it's about.
Easy. I have a few questions. When did you get the tattoo, Kira?
The beginning of October.
Had you ever had a tattoo before?
I had started one a few days before I got the one at Body Bazaar, yes.
You mean you started one but didn't finish it?
Correct.
At a different tattoo parlor?
Correct.
Why didn't you finish it?
I was nervous and I just kind of got up and paid him and left.
Okay. So the beginning of October you got this tattoo. What does it say? What is it?
It's my last name. It's
Bruce?
Yes. And then
You don't have a boyfriend named Bruce?
No.
Yeah, she told us.
We don't shout out in court. Now, when you went in, did you go in alone? Were you with someone else?
I was alone.
And you saw the defendant?
Oh, I never met Dave West until it all came back with my parents.
Okay. You saw somebody else who worked in the shop?
Yes.
Is that person in court today?
Yes.
Which one? Raise your hand.
Both of them?
You. Were you the one who did the work?
Yep, did the verse tattoo on her, yes.
Okay, could you step up, please? Tell me your name.
Kevin Augustine. How you doing?
Don't ask me questions. I
Kevin
ask questions.
Augustine.
Augustine.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Augustine, when Kira came into the shop, did you ask her for identification?
Yeah, that's normal procedure.
What did you say to her?
They give us California driver's license and they fill out a consent form.
Do you have her form?
Yeah, we do.
May I have it, please?
There's two separate ones for the two different dates that she came in.
She came in on 2 dates.
2 different occasions.
So you didn't finish on the first date and she came back?
No, she started the tattoo at a tattoo studio a few doors down. Then she came to us and got the tattoo she had started at the other studio. She
Finished.
got colored in. Then about a
came
month,
back for
maybe
the
about a
second
month
one.
later, she came back in, brought the same ID, presented her ID, and got a whole nother separate tattoo.
Okay. Do you have the driver's license that you presented to the defendants when you
It was not a driver's license, it was a California ID.
California ID.
Yes, we do have that, and if you'll note, the height, the weight, and the face don't match my daughter. Also, on the consent form that she signed, the person going in actually fills out the information. On the first copy of October 1st, her date of birth is listed as 8/19/01. On the consent form dated October 3rd, it's 9/18/83.
Oh, okay.
So,
not very hard. Now, she came home to see you, and she showed you the tattoo?
no, she didn't actually. I had been in Southern California for 9 weeks caring for my father, who just recently passed away.
Who was staying with her?
Her father and her brother. But when I returned home, my house was a shambles, you know, teenagers and a dad that eats pizza. So I happened to stroll through her room, and I looked down on the floor, and I saw a letter. It was folded, and I picked it up, and it said, "I love my tattoo," and a little heart. So I thought I'd better read the rest of this letter. And I said, "Dear James, sorry. I hope you're not mad at me for getting another tattoo." And then I ricocheted off of the walls. And so when I picked her up from dance that evening, I confronted her about it, and she showed me these tattoos. Then after that, we went to visit the tattoo parlors.
Miss Bruce, I'm going to stop you there. When are you going to be 18, Kara?
September 3rd.
Not so far away. Do you still like your tattoos?
Yes, I do.
Now, your mother wants you to have them removed. Is that a painful procedure?
Yes.
Look, she got these false IDs. I'm not going to even ask her where she got these IDs from. She presented them. She doesn't look as if she's 12 years old. She certainly looks as if she could be over the age of 18. And as long as she acknowledges, and I have certainly here in writing, she signed giving her consent, indicating, swearing to the fact that she was over the age of 18. Sometimes people, when they write their date of birth, transpose the current year, 01, for their actual date of birth. The answer is yes. So they did what they were supposed to do. The only one who didn't do what they were supposed to do was your daughter.
Okay.
Your daughter. And your daughter is 17. In less than a year, she's going to be 18. She's going to be of the age of majority. Why wouldn't you, instead of bringing this lawsuit against the defendants, say to your daughter, you have to accept responsibility for what you did. You either got or passed off a fake ID. You knew that you weren't supposed to do this. This is something that in our house, in any event, we would oppose, and you did it anyway. And you did it in a sneaky fashion. Now you've got these tattoos. If you want to have them removed, get a job, pay for them to have them removed when you're 18. We're not talking about a 6-year-old child. We're talking about someone who is 7 or 8 months away from being a legal adult. Why do you think that these people are responsible?
It was my understanding that she did not show an ID to Kevin, that the only person who saw her ID at any time in this tattoo parlor was an apprentice by the name of Andrew or Dave.
Doesn't make any difference, Mrs. Bruce. Someone at the tattoo parlor said to her, "Can I see your ID?" She said, "Yes, here's my ID." Then they had her fill out a form. Now, the person who actually did the tattoo didn't have to recheck, just as if you go into a hospital and you're having surgery, you go into an admitting office. In the admitting office, you fill out all kinds of forms, including consent forms. When you're laying on the operating table, the surgeon doesn't say to you, "By the way, I'd like to see your identification and fill out some forms again." They're done before, so that when you go in for the procedure, it's all finished. All that paperwork is all finished. Your daughter did the wrong thing. Do I look like I need help from you?
No.
Then why are you raising your hand?
I just wanted to add something to it. I had tattooed on her also. If you look at the...
Just a minute.
Okay.
I didn't say yes.
Okay. I apologize.
Do you understand? What I'm saying to you, wait 10 months, and if she wants to have the tattoo removed, she'll have it removed. Don't be mad at them. You gotta be mad at her.
Bruce says Dave West owes for removing a tattoo from her 17-year-old daughter, Kira. Dave says Kira used a fake ID.
Okay. You got to put the blame where it belongs. The blame belongs with your daughter. If she had gone into that tattoo parlor and nobody said to her, "Let me see your ID," I say, you got a case. But they asked for her ID. She had a fake ID.
That looks nothing like her, I'm sorry.
I want to tell you something. I like to look at my driver's license and say it looks nothing like me, too. I look at my passport and I say, who is this person?
Right.
All right? So.
But she is neither 5'3" or 100 pounds. And if
I lie on my passport, I lied on my driver's license. I've been 100 pounds now since I was 8 years old. It doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
It's her responsibility. You can't transfer that to them.
Okay.
But if she wants to take it off, let her get a job.
Okay.
Let her pay for it.
She does. Okay. The other thing, when I visited the tattoo parlor, I spoke with Kevin. We called Dave, who said if he was going to have to pay to have this tattoo removed, that he wanted the sheriff called and my daughter arrested. I did call the sheriff from the studio. There were 3 officers that were present. They did state that it was a civil matter and that we needed to resolve it between us.
Because you wanted your daughter arrested.
Don't speak to her. Look at me.
So I can't abide lies when they're presented in front of me, ma'am.
Don't
Thank
speak.
you.
I can't abide speaking out. Go ahead.
I did tell the officer that if they needed to arrest her, she needed to be responsible for her actions, and whatever their decision was, she would have to live with it. But they advised us to work it out in an amicable way. So Dave West did sign an agreement to pay half of the cost of the removal of the tattoos that were put on her body by Body Bazaar. He also requested that I obtain an estimate for the cost of the removal of the tattoos.
Just a minute.
Which I did.
You signed this on October 27th that you would help pay half the cost of removal of her tattoos? Sir, this is your
Yes,
handwriting?
basically I signed. I was forced into signing it. There's 3 cop cars in my driveway blocking my driveway to my business. She said basically that she wasn't going to leave until I signed a piece of paper saying that I would help her pay for it. I got people trying to pull in my driveway. They can't come in. I'm losing business.
Listen to me, sir. All you do is go outside and say to the police, I have asked this woman to leave my shop. She refuses to leave my shop. She is now trespassing. Have her removed.
I wasn't aware of that. I did.
Well,
I was under a lot of stress. I had 3 cops at my business.
You may have been a lot of other stress,
I had
but
an
you
angry
signed
mother
this.
forcing me. I was
you
being
signed
under
this piece of paper.
I sure did, under duress. I was basically forced into it. I was under a lot of stress. I had cops at my business.
Mr. West, ignorance of the law is no excuse. I would dismiss the case. I'm telling you right now, this case would be over. I don't believe it's your responsibility. But you agreed to not pay half. It says, I, Dave West, will help pay half of the cost of removal of the tattoos. He doesn't say he's going to pay half. He says he'll help pay half. Mm-hmm. Now, that may be semantics, but since I feel as if it's so unjust for him to pay everything, or even half, I'm going to interpret what he says based upon the exact letter of this note, which says I will help pay half. And the total amount is a couple of $1,000. Half of that would be $1,000. So he's going to help pay half of the $1,000. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $100. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Your responsibility. Deal with it.
I still feel that he's responsible for accepting an identification that did not look anything like her.
She basically committed a crime. We were victims of it.
I wanted the tattoos.
We were a professional operation.
The tattoo should be removed.
42-year-old nurse Torresanto Robinson is suing his ex-girlfriend, 43-year-old waitress Carolyn Coleman, for unpaid credit card charges and a gas bill. Carolyn says Torresanto has already been paid.
Mr. Robinson, you claim loans to the defendant.
Yes, I
She
do.
says you've been paid. How do you know her?
I met Mrs. Coleman back around 97, 98. We became friends. We dated a while, and she had an excellent job. I had excellent credit. She asked me to help her out with some utility things, which I put a lot of things in my name. As time went on, she took care of everything, the credit card, the utilities.
What credit card? I didn't hear credit card.
Yes, I got her a credit card also.
Why'd you get her a credit card for?
I mean, she was a good friend, and I trusted her, and she swore she would take care of the bill, no problem, and she did for a while.
And?
And as time went on, we decided to do other things in life, and she bought a house further away from me, and I could let the card be shipped to her home.
You let the card?
Yes, I had the address changed where it be mailed to her home. She continued to pay for a while, then as of June of this year, creditors started calling me. And around May of this year, I purchased another home for myself, and I found out that it was some utility bill that was unpaid. I went back to her and notified her of this. She took care of them all but one.
Which one didn't she take care of?
She did not take care of the gas bill.
How much is the gas bill?
It's 105.
So the gas bill is 105 that she didn't take care.
105.17, I'm sorry.
I have a difficult time enough with math. Don't talk to me about 17 cents. 105 was the gas bill. And what about the credit cards?
The credit card bill was $1,052.71.
And you never used this card?
No, I did not.
Okay. Let me see it.
Sure. If you can see, one of the statements, it have her address on it showing that the bill was going to her and the other one had my address because I had to call them or have it sent back to me what I know what wasn't paid.
Okay, but during all the time she had this particular credit card, the bill was sent to her?
Yes. Not in the beginning, it was coming to me. After she moved to about 130-some miles away from me, that's when we sit down and decide, okay, we'll let the bill come to me.
And when did she move? When did you move?
I moved March of 2000.
So after March of 2000, the bills were coming to you directly on the credit card? That's easy enough to figure out. All I have to do is call the credit card company, madam.
I had the bills. I called the credit card company and had them come because he was getting all the bills, and I didn't know what was being on there or nothing.
So the bills were coming to you? All right. So, gas bill $105, credit card bill $1,052. Let me hear.
Okay, Your Honor, I can't believe he's doing this to me, but anyway, I paid him the money for the bills that he claimed that I didn't owe. I gave him an $800 check, and he was supposed to have paid those bills.
When?
On March the 2nd.
Judge, the $800 she gave me, that was after I tried to purchase my home, that was a Comcast cable bill that the finance company would not accept my loan for the simple fact that I had an outstanding bill for $800-some for a cable bill. I turned around, called her and told her, I cannot get a loan for my house because they got this against me. She gave me $800. I went up there and I paid Comcast cable that amount.
No.
That was the bill.
Are you chewing gum?
I'm sorry.
Miss Coleman?
Yes.
You used this credit card, madam. You continued to use this credit card after March of 2000.
No, ma'am.
Let me see the bills after March of 2000.
I have, from the day one I gave, this is all bills. And she had a good job. She traveled. You look and see, you can see them all over the place.
Just one second. I just want to look after March of 2000.
I did not use the card after March.
What?
I did not use that card in March.
I said after March of 2000.
Okay, excuse me.
You want to change your answer now? No. Did you use the card after March of 2000?
No, ma'am.
I never made one purchase on that card. Not one.
What's an action draft payment? Anybody know?
I guess it was through her bank. Yes, I'm pretty sure, because she did tell me once that the bank was automatically taking it out. The credit card was automatically coming from her checking account.
Well, that was done in April. That's after March. What's Sweet Sue?
Never heard of a Sweet Sue.
Is your new address 71?
Yes, ma'am.
So this bill was sent to you, showing what the balance was on the account in April, in May, and then the balances kept growing and growing because of finance charges, and you kept receiving these bills at your new address. What did you do with them when you got them?
I rarely check the mail, so my daughter might have gotten them and put them away because she does that.
That's a lot of baloney, Miss Coleman.
Well, no, that's the truth.
No, that's a lot of baloney, Miss Coleman. Miss Coleman, you are clearly responsible for this. The fact that your daughter put away your mail and you didn't look for it, then you're responsible for it. But don't give me a lot of baloney that you never saw these bills.
No, I didn't.
Maybe one you could miss. March, April, May, June. This is a July bill, and you just ignored it. Why did you think you could get away with this?
I wasn't trying to get away with anything.
Sure you were.
After all the thousands of dollars to him that I paid to him over the couple of years that we was together, that was...
Wait a second. Because that's what you say in your answer.
Yes.
You say in your answer, I bought him a lot of jewelry and clothes and a lot of other things in the time that we were together.
Yes.
I more than paid him back. Now you're telling me that you bought him enough things and you just chose to ignore these bills because they were on his credit card. I would like to know what your defense is.
Well, my defense is that I gave him money to pay on the bills that he claimed that I owe him.
Okay, well, that defense is clearly non-existent because if you gave him money of March of 2000, you owed a lot more money on these cards. They kept building up and building up and building up. Your daughter threw away the bill. She hid the bill. You didn't see the bill. You bought him a lot of stuff when you were together.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
All of the above.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $1,111. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think the judge was correct in awarding me this.
Well, I think he's just a money-hungry person.
You just can't go around doing this to people.
A few dollars. What's a few dollars compared to what I've given him?
I can put a price on a friendship. When my kids have to eat and I have to look like this, of course I can price it.
Look at him. That's what I gave him.
Miss Coleman said she got this when Miss Coleman met me. I looked at like this, and I will continue to look like this.
Through with it.
Just be careful. Just be careful.
5-year-old bill collector Holly Shupik is suing her brother 32-year-old truck driver David Shuping for the return of stolen money and for making false allegations to Child Protective Services.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 460 on the calendar in the matter of Shuping versus Shuping. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Shuping, the defendant is your brother.
That's right.
According to your complaint, which has two parts, you borrowed some money from your sister Tracy.
Yes, I did.
$440. You gave the money to your brother to give back to your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
Your brother did not give the money back to your sister because he says your sister owed him some money for something else, so he kept the money.
Exactly.
The second part of your complaint is, after this happened, he called Child Protective Services and he told them that you were neglecting your children.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were investigated, and now you have a record with Child Protective Services. With regard to that part of the complaint, your brother says he got tired of listening to you verbally abusing your children, and everything that he reported to Child Protective Services was true.
Yes, ma'am.
So far, that's the case.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Where is Tracy?
She's in the courtroom somewhere.
Tracy?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you step up here, please, and have a seat over here? Because I'll be asking you a couple of questions. On what date did you borrow this money from your sister?
My sister did a Western Union quick collect for me on October 16th of 2001.
What did you need the money for?
I had gotten behind on my mortgage payments because I'd had surgery on my arm, and she agreed to let me have the money as long as I paid her back by the weekend.
Now, how did it come about that you gave your brother the money?
I had surgery on the 18th of October. I ended up having to spend the night in the hospital, and my brother showed up at my house Monday morning and told me that my sister had seen him to get the money.
Tracy, you want to step up here, please? Would you swear her, please? Thank you.
Ma'am, raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth in these matters?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is your last name Shuping?
Rogers.
Miss Rogers, did you ask your brother to get the money from your sister?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you have that conversation with him?
I believe it was that Friday. I talked to her like a Wednesday, and I was scared that I was going to have some checks to bounce. So I asked him to go by there and pick up the check and put the money in my account.
So, Miss Rogers, it would be a fair statement that your brother was acting as your agent in getting this money from your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
Your sister doesn't owe you the money anymore. When you asked your brother to go and pick up that money, he became your agent, which means that if he did something wrong with that money, if he appropriated the money for his own use, if he used it to set off a debt, if he lost it, he was acting on your behalf. Your sister fulfilled her obligation to you when she gave that money to your agent, who was your brother. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Consider the debt to your sister paid. If she wants to sue him for the money, she can. If he didn't follow her directions, then she has a suit against him, but you do not. You have paid your sister. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. You want your money? Get it from your brother. You got it?
Yes,
perfect. Now you are excused. Now let's get to the Child Protective Services point. When did you call Child Protective Services, sir?
They came to my house on December the 12th, so I would say it's approximately 7 to 10 days after that date.
Was this the first time you would call Child Protective Services?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Why did you call Child Protective Services?
Well, I just felt in my heart that she was verbally abusive to her children.
When did you see the instance of verbal abuse?
Well, she lived with me at one time, and after about a 4 or 5 day period, I had...
When did she live with you?
I would say approximately a year prior to this date, but I'd witnessed this on through the years until that time.
When was the last time you had seen her, according to you, verbally abusing her children?
Well, sometimes I heard it on the telephone, but I didn't always witness it myself. But
when was the last time you witnessed it, sir?
I would say the Sunday before.
Sunday before what?
The 12th. I would say that Sunday before the 12th.
Tell me where you were and what you heard.
I was at my sister's house.
Which sister?
Holly's. Fulfilling a visitation order that I was awarded to see my daughter.
Your sister has custody of your daughter?
No, she's just real good friends with the person that...
I'm a mediator.
She's a mediator, so you are allowed to see your child at your sister's house.
Yeah, it was a supervised visitation for 4 visits.
I got it. You were allowed to see your child at your sister's house.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what you saw or heard.
She was telling Autumn, her daughter, to shut up and to go on and keep her mouth shut in a very...
I want to hear it. Go ahead.
In a very aggressive tone of voice and manner that I felt was, you know, subjective to a child, that she shouldn't be hearing that type of voice spoke to her. I just felt it was my duty to call.
So you heard her tell her daughter to shut up?
Yes, ma'am.
In an aggressive tone. How old is her daughter?
16, 15.
14.
What else did you hear, sir?
Well, basically, it's gone on for a while. I mean, but it just, it got to a point.
Tell me what else that you heard, sir. So that's what you heard a week before. You told her to tell her 14-year-old daughter to shut up in an aggressive voice.
Uh-huh.
Tell me immediately prior to that what you heard.
Well, I can't remember prior to that. All I know
Well,
is
it's
that
December
she was,
12th, sir.
You know, very moving her hands like this and telling her daughter to shut up, to get in the house, and I just felt that, you know, that tone of voice or just the hand gestures itself, you know, wasn't tolerated. She shouldn't talk to her child.
Now, you have supervised visitation.
Mm-hmm.
How old is the child that you have supervised visitation with?
3 years old.
Is there any reason why the court ordered supervised visitation?
It was a mutual agreement between me and the mother of the child.
You mean you agreed to supervised visitation?
Well, they felt it was in the child's best interest.
Yeah, people usually don't agree to supervised visitation. Are you friendly with your former sister-in-law?
Yeah, and his dog.
Just a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to get to the bottom of this.
Okay.
Trust me, Miss Shuping. I've been around, you know, around the yard on this kind of case before.
Says her brother, David Shuping, stole money from their sister. Holly also claims David filed false charges with Child Protective Services.
You are friendly with his former wife?
Girlfriend.
Or former girlfriend?
Mm-hmm.
They were looking for someone to act as supervisor for the visitation.
Exactly.
Was your brother happy with that?
In the beginning, yeah, but in the end, no.
What happened towards the end, Miss Shuping?
There was an incident where he came to one of the visits and the new girlfriend was asked to leave.
Who asked the new girlfriend to leave?
I did, because of...
Is this the new girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
Was he supposed to come alone to the supervised visitation?
Exactly.
And what happened when you asked her to leave?
The law ended up having to be called, and there was a big argument, busting and fighting, carrying on.
Well, tell me exactly what happened. You asked the girlfriend to leave.
And she said, I'm making a stand, I'm not leaving. He's here to see his daughter, which was the first visit that he'd ever seen her in 3 years.
So this was at the first visit?
Yes, ma'am.
What date was that?
It was, wait a minute, I'll tell you exactly.
November the 9th.
Yeah.
11th.
And the police were called?
Yes, ma'am.
And when the police were called, was the visit terminated?
Yes, ma'am. He stayed long enough for her to open her birthday presents, and then he left.
And what about the girlfriend? Did she leave or
She
stay?
stood in the middle of the road in front of my house.
Sat in my truck.
And took pictures.
Be quiet.
Was sitting
I'm not
inside
talking
of
to
a
you.
truck and taking pictures of everybody standing in my yard.
Did your brother come again for visits?
Yes, ma'am. He comes regular now, still.
To your house?
No, he has it at his ex-girlfriend.
His ex-girlfriend's house?
Mm-hmm.
Was the November 9th visit the last visit that was conducted at your house?
Yes, ma'am.
So it was the first and the last visit that was conducted at your house?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, about a week prior to this December 12th, when your brother made the call...
He made the call on November 16th. I've got my paper here.
May I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am. It was... He called 3 days after he called and cussed me out and told me he was going to call. And what he told him was...
Just 1 second.
Okay.
So, Mr. Shuping, you were mistaken about the date, sir. Clearly from this letter from Social Services. You did not call about a week before the December 12th call, because you said it was December 12th. You called on November the 16th.
Well, I got the dates written right here. I did tell you the wrong date.
Well, you did tell me the wrong date, sir,
no...
because this was approximately 7 days after the altercation at your sister's house, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Shuping, it sounds to me like this was a vindictive call to Social Services, sir.
Well, I told her I was going to call. And the reason I did call is because someone... My first visit, by the way, was on November the 11th, and someone called on me the November the 13th and said I was abusing my kids too.
I didn't call on him, though, and I told him that I didn't call on him.
And that's the reason I called her and told her I didn't appreciate that phone call to Catawba County, and I would be returning the favor.
Then I am correct. You did it not because you feared for your 14-year-old niece's welfare because her mother was yelling at her, but because you were angry because someone had called social services because of your alleged actions. That's what you just said to me. Is that right?
Well, it wasn't in
Well
that
is not an
stance.
answer, sir.
It's not in that stance.
It's exactly that way. You acted like an idiot by bringing your girlfriend to your first visit with your 3-year-old in a very long time. Not her visit, it's your visit. It's your visit. And before you introduce another person into your child's life, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to get to know your child yourself. How long had it been since you saw your daughter?
Well, it's been...
Not well. Give me an answer.
I seen her the first day when she came home from the hospital.
And then you didn't see her for how long?
I paid child support for 2 years.
I don't care about your child support.
And
I'm asking you, when was the last time you saw your child prior to November 9th?
I haven't.
Well, if you haven't, then you're an idiot for bringing your girlfriend along. And she's an idiot for coming. Because what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to have a single-minded purpose, which is to let your daughter get to know you. And if your sister said, let her leave because I don't want to get into hot water with the mother of my niece, who I'm doing this for, then what you do is you don't make a scene. And she doesn't either. And you acted in a retaliatory fashion by picking up the phone and calling social services on your sister. It was nothing more than vindictive. It had nothing to do with child welfare. And, sir, you are going to pay for that. Because while you don't owe this lady any money for the $440 that she gave you to pay back this sister, she's suing you for $4,000, most of which is the aggravation that was caused because her name will remain in the state central registry for child abuse and neglect for a very long time, without any cause whatsoever, because you used this to get even. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,000, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nurse David Cushel is suing his former friend, 18-year-old gas station attendant Mike Rice, for damage to his home. David says he allowed Mike to throw a New Year's party, and his friends trashed the house.
Mr. Cushel, do you live in a house or an apartment?
In a house, Your Honor.
Is it a house that you own or rent?
I own it, Your Honor.
Defendant was a friend of yours?
Correct.
According to your complaint, the defendant invited you to a New Year's Eve party that he was going to have at a hotel. You volunteered to let him have the party at your home. You were not going to be home New Year's Eve. Is that right?
He indicated he was going to have a get-together with a few friends, maybe up to a dozen friends at a hotel party.
Just listen to me. You volunteered to let him use your home. You weren't going to be home New Year's Eve. Is that correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
I'll get to some specifics in a minute. Let me just lay out the case. He had the party. Your house was trashed. You want him to pay for all of the damage that was done to your house.
Correct, Your Honor.
That's the case. And Mr. Rice says, what?
I was there.
Is not an answer.
Okay, sorry about that. I was there, and I had a few friends over, and some more showed up than I invited. And at midnight, some friends got in some fights, and they broke some of his stuff.
So?
So I don't think I should be held responsible because it was my friends and not me.
You were there?
Yes, I was.
You know which friends damaged the property?
Yes, I do.
Sue them. After he sues you, gave you permission to use his home for the purpose of a party. If more people show up than you had invited, you have a responsibility to eject them. If things get out of hand, you have the responsibility of calling the police. If either they refuse to leave or start to get into any altercations at the house. But you are responsible. He's not responsible. Why is he responsible?
It's his house, and he never delegated any responsibility.
Of course he did. Let me see pictures of the damage to the house. I'm inordinately calm because this is an inordinately easy case to decide.
I can go through the pictures if you'd like, Your Honor, explaining. Some are kind of hard to see.
What happened to the trees?
There was a lot of tracks through the yards. Cars had driven from the street through the yard and missed the driveway by a few hundred feet, apparently, and the trees must have been in the way. The dogs didn't know what to do that next morning. known post-traumatic stress disorder, but I think they're okay.
That's not on here, is it?
No, ma'am.
When did you buy this house, sir?
We finished construction about a year and a half ago, Your Honor. The estimates are just for materials. They don't include labor with the exception of the flooring.
Would you tell me why you let him use your house for this party?
Unfortunately, a few months before New Year's Eve, we'd lost a mutual friend to a motor vehicle accident. Mike indicated he's having a get-together with his friends at a hotel that was over half an hour from town. My house was in town. My roommate was going to be there. He was having a few friends over, and I felt that everything would be all right, and I didn't want to have that same experience with anyone else. You know, sometimes people have to drive after they've been, you know, getting together, and I know they could crash in my house and be no problem.
Well, they put cigarettes out on your floor, on your carpet. They put holes in your walls. How long had you been living there?
About a year and a half, Your Honor.
Looks like you did a nice job before the place got trashed. Anything else you want to tell me, Mr. Rice?
Yes, I believe that his roommate Chuck is also partially responsible. He had friends over with us. He was there the whole time. I believe that if he thought something was going on wrong, I mean, he lived there, he could have said something, told him to leave.
Why, were his friends involved in vandalizing the property?
No, they were not.
Yours were involved in vandalizing the property?
Yes, they were.
Then you're responsible, sir. You're responsible for their actions. Now, you can sue them and say, listen, I was forced to pay for the damage you did, but how do I know that you weren't partially responsible for the damage? How do I know that?
You don't.
I don't. If you know the names of the people who did, it's not up to him to go out and search for them. He was doing a good deed.
What? Your Honor, Chuck can explain what happened that evening to make it more clear in regards to what happened during the party. He was there the entire time and attempted to actually get it to slow down without success.
Chuck, you were unsuccessful. Don't get up. Mr. Kushel.
Yes, Your Honor.
You don't need any water. It's not going to take that long. You're suing the defendant for $3,000. Your costs are in excess of that, but that's your lawsuit, $3,000. And I assume, sir, your next stop is going to be small claims court, where you file a claim against all of these people to reimburse you for this $3,000, right? Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $3,000. Have a good day.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it's great. Judge Judy, she had a good verdict, and, you know, we're going to get paid finally and get this house cleaned up.
She totally put everything on me, and I don't believe it was all my fault.
This trash, I mean, unbelievable. It was like a tornado came through.
Some people got in some fights. There was little disruptions. People got thrown through some doors, stuff like that.
Do not loan your house out to other people when you're not home. It's no.
Is suing her former sister-in-law, 35-year-old homemaker Robin Arias, for the possession of a motorcycle previously owned by her late brother. Robin is countersuing also for possession of the bike.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 366 on the calendar in the matter of DaCosta versus Arias. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Costa, you had a brother.
Yes.
Your brother had been arrested. I assume from your answer that he was arrested for assaulting you.
Yes, ma'am.
He was incarcerated. He contacted you for the purposes of bailing him out of jail. Is that right so far?
Yes.
And you say that you had an agreement with him that he would turn over some sort of a motorbike to you to repay you for his bail. Before that was accomplished, he died. So now we have a dispute between you two ladies who were sister-in-laws. You were separated from your husband at the time of his death, is
Correct,
that right?
ma'am.
You want her to turn over the title to the motorcycle to you?
Yes.
And she wants the motorcycle returned to her because it was taken from her home without permission.
Yes, ma'am.
When was your brother arrested?
July 22nd, 2001.
And you knew he was arrested for assaulting his wife. How long have you been separated?
We had actually separated June 28th of 2000. We reconciled and we separated May 28th of 2001.
Were you legally separated
Yes,
by
ma'am.
court order?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a copy of that court order?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Why not?
When he passed away, I had contacted my lawyer, and he told me that I was now a widow, that there was nothing else that could be done as far as the proceedings of the divorce.
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that your defense is that you were legally separated and therefore no longer responsible for any of his debts, even if I determined this was a just
Yes,
debt.
ma'am.
So it's surprising to me that you did not bring a copy of the judgment of separation. All right, so this happened on July 22nd of this year. He was arrested, he contacted you, told you he needed bail?
Yes.
And what did you do?
I called Flores Bail's Bond. I paid the first $2,500 that day, and then after my brother's death, I called the bail's bond and asked him if I still was responsible to pay the $2,500 for the rest, because it was $5,000. He said, yes, you're still responsible for the next $2,500. So I paid that. And
let me see the papers from the bail bondsman. How much was his bail?
It was $5,000. I guess the bail's bond has to put up like $50,000.
No, it was $50,000.
Yes, but the bail's
Why
bond
was it
puts
so
that
much
up.
money? Had he
Because-
assaulted you before?
Yes, ma'am.
Had your brother been incarcerated before?
No, ma'am.
Had he been incarcerated before?
Yes, ma'am.
Because $50,000 bail is a lot of bail.
Yes. Can I say something?
Yes.
The first time that he was incarcerated with her, the charges were dropped because the judge dropped the charges on that one. They found no case against it.
I doubt that. I didn't ask you about any of the substance of it. I asked you whether he had been incarcerated before, and the answer was yes. He had been charged with domestic violence before, because otherwise it's unlikely that bail would have been set in the amount of $50,000. You want to controvert what I just said?
On the spousal abuse, no matter what, if you get caught, I got spousal abuse on me.
That's good. Listen, you're telling me that you're the expert on spousal abuse.
No, it's
Trust me.
$50,000. It's $50,000 no matter what.
I want you to listen to me.
I know it's $50,000.
You think he's finished yet?
I hope so.
Yeah. It's $50,000 no matter what.
Got spousal abuse on me too. Whew. Why do you think she owes you any money?
My brother and I had agreed, when I bailed him out of jail, he called me several times and asked me if I would take the motorcycle for the money that he owed me because he felt really bad. Then I called my brother on the 25th of August, and we talked for 16 minutes. I have the phone record here. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll go ahead and take the bike. And he's like, well, take my barbecue or take the water softener or something like that. And I'm like, well, we'll just make something. We'll do something.
You mean take it instead of the bike or take
No,
an
take the
addition?
bike and that, because the bike's not worth that much money.
Okay.
And then he died 4 days later.
And where was the bike at that time?
It was at his house.
How did it get to be at your house?
It wasn't at my house. It was brought to my sister's house. When my mother found my brother deceased, she asked the police if it was okay for them to take
I object, Your Honor.
Shh. Just a second. I'll get to you in a minute.
They asked the police if they could take some stuff. He's like, yes, you can go ahead and take the stuff. Go ahead and write them down. So we wrote it down, and most of the stuff has been given back.
So that the bike was taken to your sister's house?
Yes.
And where is it now? Still at your sister's house?
It's at a friend of ours.
Was it ever at your house?
Yes, ma'am.
How did it get to your house?
My husband was living at the home. I moved out of our home into an apartment.
Then you moved back into the house?
No. I just recently moved into the home after my husband.
But the bike was never taken from your house while you were living there?
Well, okay.
It was never taken from your house while you were living there?
Not while I was living there, correct.
Oh, okay. So now it's at a friend's house, and so you want the title to the bike?
Yes.
All right. So?
The reason why they had taken the property from the home is I got a call at work. I work in Lancaster. It took almost 3.5 hours to locate me because of where I work. By the time I had gotten home and gotten my 8-year-old out of school and gotten back to the house, everybody was already gone. The property was gone. All of his jewelry, family pictures. There was a lot of stuff that was taken from the property.
So what do you care? You just told me you were separated. You're going to divorce
him.
But
after being together that many years, you just don't stop loving somebody
Just
overnight.
listen to me. Now you love him because he's dead? Listen to me very carefully. Your brother had an obligation to his sister. He had agreed with her before he died that his property, the bike, would be turned over to her in payment of a debt that
I don't believe that is true at all.
I believe it.
I'm still paying for the motorcycle. He put it on a credit card.
Just 1 second. That's a different story. Let me see proof. Let me see proof.
He put $1,500 out of the checking account, and the rest went on a credit card.
Just a second, just a minute. It says amount financed, $4,130. To whom was it financed?
If you flip that pink over, it'll show $1,500 came out of a checking, and the rest was put on a Visa.
Whose Visa is this?
Mine and my husband's.
Let me see.
Oh, well, it's back there in my purse.
Get it?
Okay.
Shortly after bailing her brother out of jail, he passed away. Monique claims her former sister-in-law, Robin Arias, refuses to hand over the motorcycle he promised as collateral.
See, please. Well, this is in your brother's name, not in your name.
No, but I'm saying it's a joint account. All of our credit cards were joint accounts.
I don't know that. Well, then show me proof that you've been paying for the bike.
I haven't been able to make any payments because I'm still waiting for life insurance to come in.
So you haven't made any payments on the bike?
No, but I mean, I have to pay the credit card off.
I don't know that you have to at all. You don't even talk about that in your answer, that you're still responsible for the payment of the bike.
I was told by my lawyer, due to the fact that we weren't legally divorced, that I am still responsible for all of his debt.
Not if you have a separation that is a court-ordered separation, and that the court-ordered separation can, in fact, say that neither one of you is responsible for the debts of either party from this day forward.
Correct, but we were living together when he purchased the bike.
So?
Your Honor, they were not living together. He was living with my mother when he purchased the bike.
Your Honor, my witness is to attest to that we were living together.
What's your mother's address?
It's Linden Avenue.
That's where he lists his place of residence.
Right. But he was living at Newcomb Street.
I don't know that at all. Listen, you can't have it both ways. Are you collecting his life insurance?
Yes.
You're going to collect his life insurance. How much?
A whole lot.
He had 16 months to remove me as anything. That is the
Just
same.
answer my question. How much life insurance?
$85,000, and then a policy that he had prior to us ever getting married, he left for his 8-year-old son.
Is his 8-year-old son your 8-year-old son?
Yes, ma'am.
So your son?
Yes.
And who does your son live with now?
Me.
And how much life insurance will you collect from the child?
It's a structured settlement.
And how much?
Roughly, maybe $600,000-700,000 goes to his son.
Okay. Let's talk about what is reasonable, madam. But for the fact that your husband died, you would not be $85,000 richer. Your son would not be in substantially kind of position that he will be in.
Yes, ma'am.
Soon. That I'm telling you because if your brother couldn't repay his sister for the bail and had to sell his property, his motorcycle, his barbecue, whatever else, to pay his sister back, that means that he wasn't in such good financial shape.
Ma'am, he could have paid his sister back. This is a checking and savings account from when my husband died. He had more than $5,000 in it. He left it to his 8-year-old son in a uniform trust account. He could have
That
paid her back.
may have been. If it was a trust account, maybe he felt as if he didn't want to tap into that. What I'm telling you, Miss Arias, is you're supposed to do the right thing. The right thing is your sister-in-law bailed her brother out of jail, even though the bailout was a result of an assault allegedly committed on you.
I have the police report for
I'm
that.
not interested in the police report. I said even though it was not determined in a court, but that's why he was in jail, for assaulting you. But you just said to me a moment ago, just because you're separated doesn't mean you stopped loving somebody. Isn't that what you said to me 2 seconds ago? So listen to me. You're supposed to do the right thing. This was a debt that your husband had. He had already arranged with his sister how that debt was going to be paid. There is no proof whatsoever that you are paying this bill and this card is not in your name.
No, it's my husband's, correct.
I understand that. There is no proof that you are currently paying this bill or will ever be responsible for this bill. Now, it is very possible that if, in fact, the bank decides to go after this bicycle, they will come and get it from her. But in the meantime, you give her the title.
I do not have a title. I had to do a 180 on it. She has possession. The DMV will not give me a title because I did a grand theft auto report on it.
Well, you're a cutie pie because you knew exactly where it was. So we will prepare an order, which I am hoping that the Department of Motor Vehicles will honor, that this matter has been resolved here, that this court determines that the title to the bike should be in your name, that the bike was not in fact stolen, that it had been reported stolen by Miss Arias, and it was never stolen. And would they please re-execute a new title in your name? I don't know if there's a lien holder.
There's no lien holder.
I assume that there's not a lien holder because it's on a credit card. And if you wait, I will prepare a copy of that order. Your counterclaim for the return of the bike to you is dismissed. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm glad it's over and done with.
This is what my brother wanted, and I'm just thankful that I'm able to get it. And you know what? The Lord above will take care of her in the long run.
21-year-old college student Contessa Newhouse is suing her former co-worker, 44-year-old former customer service manager Cindy Covington, for defamation of character. Contessa says Cindy falsely accused her of calling in a bomb threat.
Ms. Newhouse, you and the defendant for a period of time worked in the same retail store. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that after you left your employment there, a short time afterwards, there was a bomb threat called into the store. The defendant received that threat. So far, is that right?
Yes.
And that the defendant told the police that she thought it was you who had called in the bomb threat. So you are suing her for defamation, for slander. That's what your lawsuit is. You want $5,000.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you leave your employment there?
I left my employment on August 23rd of 2001.
And the defendant was one of your supervisors?
A customer service manager.
And when was the bomb threat called in?
Around October the 10th or the 11th.
When you received the call, what did the call say?
F you, because you, Shirley, and Carlos are all going to blow up because there's a bomb under your feet. Well, Shirley and Carlos and I were involved in a termination of her roommate, and the roommate had been there that day.
Did you, at the time you received this telephone call, believe that you recognized the voice?
Yes, I did. I felt it was Contessa's voice, and I mentioned that to the police.
And as a result of that, the police came to your home?
Yes, ma'am.
And was there any investigation that followed?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what the investigation consisted of.
The investigation was I had to go down there for questioning, and I was required to take a polygraph so that any suspicions would be dropped against me.
And you did that?
Yes, ma'am.
So other than going down to the police station for questioning, and you took a polygraph, which was a voluntary polygraph because they don't insist that you take a polygraph.
He asked me if I'd take the polygraph so that they would leave me alone and let me live my life, and I volunteered did it, yes.
Right, so it was voluntary. So what do you want?
What I want is, Your Honor, back in April of 2001, I have never really known this lady, but I took back a television when I first moved into my apartment. They gave me the wrong television out of the layaway, and I took it back because it was defaulted in someone else's, and they called her up to the service desk, and she flat out called me a liar and told me that I better get the right TV. So I got my TV and I left, and I came back and I wrote a 3-page statement and I gave it to the store manager. And I know it got her in trouble.
Then you went to work there. I read your complaint. Then you went to work there after that.
Right. I went to
work. And then you had difficulty with her.
Mm-hmm. The one night that I got put under Cindy, I'd never worked underneath her.
Under Cindy? Okay.
She worked under me several times.
Go ahead.
Money came up missing out of my drawer, and she made it plain and simple to go tell everybody I took the money out of my drawer. Then I had to go to the bathroom so bad at my register that she turned off my light and expected me to help all my customers instead of letting me go. I didn't trust her, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I started to wet my pants, which is a humiliation when your manager will not let you go.
So that happened to you back in August, and you left.
I left because of my integrity being questioned, being called a liar and a thief by Miss Covington, and because of humiliation.
Fine. Okay, so you left.
Right. I also had a roommate that lived with me that is very good friends with Miss Covington that I kicked out because she molested my daughter and because she went and she slandered my name all over also. I kicked her out the Monday before the bomb threat. And yes, I did call the night of the bomb threat to talk to a friend, but I nowhere even near the time of the bomb threat. My mother called me from the gas station, which is my
Miss
witness.
Newhouse, let me stop you right there, because it's not a very difficult case. Police respond to a bomb threat that they take very seriously. They question everybody, including the person who received the call. The person who received the call, that is the defendant, says, and I'm sure the police asked, did you recognize the person? She says, I think I recognize Miss Newhouse's voice. They came, they spoke to you, they investigated, and they did not pursue it. Now, if we as a community said, every time somebody said, I think it looks like that person, or it sounded like that person, or it could be that person, and the police investigate, and it turns out not to be the right suspect, that you can turn around and sue the person, in this case, Miss Covington, who made that statement, that would have a chilling effect on police work. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. So you are entitled to nothing.
Ma'am, the one thing that it's harassment, the way that I had been treated for the last 6 months.
That's not what we're talking about. You want to sue her for harassment. You want to sue her for harassment. You sue the store that you were working for.
Ma'am, for a woman who's never talked to me on the phone, how would she have known it was my voice?
She doesn't have to talk to you on the phone. She talked to you in person. She doesn't have to talk to you on the telephone.
But I sound completely different on the telephone. After previous jobs that I've had, I've never sounded the same as I do in person.
Well, how do you know that? You listen to
because
yourself
I have
on the
a mother-in-law who thought I was a
Miss Newhouse, you don't have a case. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
There's no way you can know my voice on the phone, especially only when you talk to me in person.
I said it sounded like your voice.
I almost lost my family. I couldn't take care of my daughter, and I almost lost my school because of it, and she knew exactly what I had at stake.
She's just very vengeful towards me.
She's just a very judgmental, vindictive person.
She doesn't even know me to say the things that she said.
Insurance salesperson Anna Maria Ross is suing her ex-fiancé, 29-year-old sales manager Steve Miller, for half the cost of their furniture. Steve says his grandmother bought the furniture, and he's the one paying her back.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Hi. 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 Yeah, this is case number 414 on the calendar in the matter of Ross versus Miller. How you doing, Judge? Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Ross, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were engaged to be married.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you live together?
Yes, Your Honor.
From when to when?
I believe it was June of '99.
And when did you separate?
January of 2000.
January of 2000 or 2001?
2001.
Your Honor, we started dating at that time. We weren't actually living together in June of '99.
Well, when did you start to live together is what I want to know.
He moved into my place in Roseville originally in 1999.
What month?
It was in October.
October of 99, not June. Okay. Now, at that time, you claimed that he suggested to you that you get rid of your furniture because his grandmother was going to buy some new furniture.
Yes.
And you did that. Grandmother purchased new furniture, but there was an agreement that you would pay the credit card bill on the furniture. It is your claim that after you separated, he came and took all the furniture out of storage, and that you had, in fact, paid for half of that furniture during the time that you were living together, so you want the value of half the furniture. The defendant says that he paid for the furniture, he's still paying for the furniture. When was the furniture purchased?
So on the March 15th, 2000.
And what furniture was purchased in March of 2000?
It was pretty much a whole recline, a living room set.
Living room set, so far, is that right?
Yes.
A bedroom set, plus a dining room table.
Table?
But that was not on the credit card. That was paid in cash to his mother.
Is that right?
That was given to me from my mother. It was our dining room table from her previously
So that was a gift, so let's forget the table.
Yes.
And that was all purchased in March of 2000 on a credit card, Grandma's credit card.
Yes.
How much do you say you put towards this furniture?
$1,000 about.
$1,000 about?
Within the year that we got the furniture, each month that we paid a month.
Were you sharing the expenses of living together?
Pretty much.
Not pretty much?
Yes, Your Honor.
You were?
Yes.
And how were you sharing them? What were you doing at that time? Were you working?
Yes.
What kind of work were you doing?
At the time, I was dancing.
Dancing?
Yes, at that time.
And how much money were you earning dancing?
$1,000 a week, usually.
So you put money into a joint checking account?
No, we had our own separate accounts, but I would give him cash to pay for bills, and he would write it out as the man of the house.
Is that right?
No, Your Honor.
Well, tell me how it worked.
Basically, she kept her money, I kept my money, we split the bills, and we came together to purchase things together, and the things that were purchased together, she was allowed to take with her when she left. But we had separate checking accounts, and she never came home and gave me, you know, large amounts of money.
I didn't say large amounts of money.
Well, she said that
what you're saying to me is that she's correct that you did, in fact, share joint bills and purchase things together.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that you decided to purchase together was this living room set and the bedroom set.
No, Your Honor.
Well, tell me why not.
Because when we agreed to move in with each other, she put her furniture in the stores because I said that my mom was going to buy me furniture and that we could use my furniture.
You said my furniture?
Yes, my furniture.
Mr. Miller, were you engaged at that time?
No, we were not.
When did you become engaged?
Only about 3 months after we moved in together.
You moved in together in October of '99.
The whole timing thing is a little confusing to me because...
Well, but try not to make it confusing to me, Mr. Miller, because I'm supposed to be able to resolve this case.
Sure.
The furniture was purchased in March of 2000.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, were you engaged at the time that the furniture was purchased?
No.
Were you engaged at the time the furniture was purchased?
He proposed to me Father's Day, which was May.
Father's Day is in June. Of what year?
Of year 2001.
June 2001 is when he proposed to you. So he proposed to you 5 months after he left you.
No, I'm sorry. I meant to say, I apologize. I meant to say that I recollect that he proposed to me. It was right around, I'm trying to remember because it was a big, it was
All right, now
May.
listen to me. This is what I want you to do. I'm going to sit here very quietly for a moment. I want the two of you to recognize that you're involved in a trial. At a trial, I'm asking you rather simplistic questions. I'm asking you to tell me certain dates so that I can make a determination as to whether this furniture was purchased for you as a couple, was purchased as an individual by a parent, what were the ramifications of the engagement. So I want you to take a deep breath and think. When did you meet? When did you move in together? When did he propose? When was the furniture purchased? Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now just be calm. Think. You don't look like you're thinking.
Are you ready for an answer?
Are you ready to give me an answer?
I'm ready to give you an answer.
Okay. When did you move in?
In October.
October of what year?
October of 2001.
And when did you propose?
About 4 months after that.
February of 2001. When did you purchase the furniture?
June 3rd.
June of?
2001.
2001. So you purchased the furniture, Mr. Miller, after you became engaged.
No, that's not what happened.
No, there's just a second. This is what you just told me. Let me go back, Mr. Miller.
Okay.
You told me that you moved in October of 2000.
Okay.
You told me 4 months after you moved in, you became engaged.
Mm-hmm.
That would be February of 2001. Then you told me you bought the furniture in what month and year?
I'm looking at the first payment. It says June 3rd, 01, so...
So you bought the furniture after you became engaged?
No, I gave you the wrong answer on the date, but I didn't... The furniture was purchased after, or before we were engaged, 3 or 4 months before. And I might
Not
not
according
have...
to the scenario you just gave me, Mr. Miller, after you thought very carefully.
Well, I'm not...
Go ahead. Now, be quiet. You got it. You had a turn. You had your turn. You took your best shot. All right, Miss Ross, was the furniture purchased before or after you became engaged?
After.
Oh, okay.
I mean, before. I meant to say before, I'm sorry. Because I remember sitting down on the dining room set when he bent down and proposed to me, and we had our furniture purchased. It was there at the house.
I love this.
After a physical fight with fiancé Steve Miller, she broke off the engagement. She is suing for half the cost of their furniture.
I want to see what's the balance remaining on the credit card for the furniture. Don't give me a whole bunch of papers, just show me the balance. Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. This case is becoming all too painful for me. Could you read this?
You have on your reading glasses.
I know, but look at this here.
I know.
Look at that there. Can you see that?
Whoa. I see the new balance here, Judge. It says $2,478.68.
Is that the new balance, sir? Is that what's left on the
Yes.
And what was the original purchase price of the furniture, Miss Ross?
About $3,000 almost.
We're in a court.
Excuse
I
me,
want to know
I'm-
the exact amount.
Because there were separate payments, I can't find the total amount of the entire furniture. Ma'am.
Let me take a look.
Mm-hmm. Because there were different...
Trying to think of how many years my father
this is
paid
a-
to educate me for this. Did you folks ever learn about being prepared? You know, you come to court, you're prepared, you have all your information, you have numbers, it's all down there. I mean, I'm not asking you anything that goes outside of the lawsuit that you brought. I'm not asking you about what caused the breakup or, you know, whether you liked each other towards the end. I'm not asking you any of those soft questions. I'm saying, when did you buy the furniture? How much did it cost? How much is left on the furniture?
Your Honor, may I speak?
No, just give me a number. When you buy furniture, you have a bill. The bill says one chair, $200, one table, $300, one bedroom set, $900.
Brown ones are like the
Your Honor, if she would have purchased the furniture, she would probably have that information.
Good, so you
I have
purchased
the
it. You
original.
just, so you purchased it. Give it to me.
I don't.
You're not. So you purchased it. Give it to me.
I don't. I did not purchase it. My grandma
This
purchased
must
it.
be duplicates, yeah, like
Well, then maybe we ought to dismiss this case and let your grandmother stand in your place. Well. Okay. Thanks, Bertha.
Your Honor, may I state that in the beginning of the relationship, I had my own set of furniture that I purchased on my own. He sold it to his friends, and then we got the new stuff, and he lived in we've lived in 3 separate places since we've been together. This last prior place was with this furniture.
Listen to me very carefully. The furniture was purchased for about $3,000. There is almost $2,500 left on the bill. If you are not paying that bill, then you are not entitled to any furniture. Do you understand? You don't want to take out a loan, do you, and pay off this furniture?
No,
Of course not. And since you don't want to take out a loan, pay off his grandmother's credit card, or put that amount on a new credit card of yours so that she is no longer responsible, right? You can't have the furniture. Period. Goodbye. Thank you very much. This case was very painful.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You know, I'm happy with the outcome. You know, I don't feel that she deserved the furniture.
He ripped me off.
When 2 people come in a relationship with their own property, I think they should leave with their own property.
Never mess with the loser ever again.
1-year-old financial director Richard Carlson is suing his ex-girlfriend, Teresa Reese, for loans he made during their relationship. Teresa says she has a restraining order against Richard.
Mr. Carlson, you claim a series of loans to the defendant while you were in a relationship. Ms. Reese says that there were no loans. Tell me about when these loans started and why, sir.
Yeah, they basically started on March 1st of 2001. A series of loans were made for various amounts, including rent, and her and I were on a furniture note, but I do not have the furniture. She has the furniture. Totals up to $1,905.
So tell me why you started to give her money for rent.
She was in an accident. She was not able to work, and she was struggling with her bills.
How did you meet her?
I met her at a local bar.
Did you ever live with her?
No.
Where were you living at the time?
I was living in my own place.
And so how much did you give her?
On March 1st, I gave her $300.
When did she agree to pay you back?
She was to get a settlement. She never came through. Then, conveniently, she filed a restraining order against me once I heard that she did get her settlement.
Well, she filed a restraining order against you, I assume, because you were contacting her.
That is correct.
Or in March, we have $300 that you gave her. When did you give her the next amount of money?
I gave her, on the 15th of March, I gave her $225.
And again, you weren't living with her at the time.
No, I was not.
That's not true. Just a second, we'll get to you in a minute. When next did you give her money?
I gave her 8 days later on the 23rd. I gave her $75.
What?
She needed groceries.
When next?
And then on the 17th of April, $165 I paid for her furniture note.
Her furniture note.
Yes.
Just a second. Her furniture note.
Yes.
When did she purchase furniture?
She purchased it in October of 2001.
Did you go with her to buy the furniture?
Yes, I did.
Were you planning on moving in at the time?
Not at all.
We were living together at the time. I'm going to get to you in a minute, Miss Reese. How much was the total amount of the furniture?
I believe that the payments were $165 a month, and I believe it was right around $1,900 was the loan.
Approximately $2,300.
So what you're saying is, aside from these amounts of money, $300, $225, $75, $165, the other amounts of money for furniture, with furniture that was on your credit card?
No, it wasn't.
It was financed.
Who financed it?
They're a local furniture company, and I have the agreement right here, which our name is on it. With both, we're under the same address, and he's signed on to this.
Can I see it, please?
And he's given me a lot more than the amount that he's suing for. He's given me money as late as October, 2 weeks before the restraining order was filed.
Both names on it.
Yes.
And one address.
Exactly.
Is that right, sir?
That is correct, yeah. If I can add to it, you know, I never once was on her lease.
Hey, she don't have to be on her lease to live with her.
Exactly, and that is my
Miss
point.
Reese, be quiet. You don't have to be on her lease to live with her, Mr. Carlson. You have to understand that.
I understand.
Okay. What was the address of the place that you claim you were living and paying rent on during this time?
My home address, 8529.
And who do you live with there?
I'm staying with my mom.
So it's your mother's home?
Yes.
So, Mr. Carlson, it would be fair to say, sir, that most of the time you were staying with the defendant?
Yeah, maybe 2 days a week.
Maybe 3 sometimes?
Yeah.
Sometimes did you actually spend 4 days a week there?
Sure.
Mr. Carlson, I'm not a stupid lady. So he was living with you?
Yes, he was. And I was
okay, I believe that, Miss Reese.
Okay.
I believe that there came a time when he moved in with you. His clothes were there, his shoes were there, his underwear was there, his shaving equipment was there, you know, all the stuff that he needed.
The reason why he was staying with me was because we were in an accident that he was driving. It wasn't his fault. But I had a sprain to the third lumbar in my neck, and so I was only able to work part-time, and I was in a lot of discomfort, and I needed somebody there with me. He was kind enough. He stayed with me. We were in a relationship, and we were caring about each other and everything. And we were engaged to be married until we went to the jewelry store to buy a ring on a credit card that only had a $250 limit.
So?
I was under the impression that he was this very wealthy guy, and he was very flashy with a lot of money.
And then he could only buy you a $250 engagement ring.
No, that was the limit on it. We were looking at a $5,000 ring.
I mean, that's why you got rid of him, because he couldn't buy you a nice engagement ring?
Well, it just started out like I would go pick him up from work, and he wasn't there, and he'd be gone for 2 or 3 days. And so I was telling him that, you know, you can do what you want because I can't control anyone. But, you know, the relationship on an intimacy level kind of ended there. So that's like probably 2-3 months into the relationship, the intimacy part was gone, and I still cared about him, but just not to that degree because I can't control him over myself.
You still have this furniture?
Yes.
Is it all paid for?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson, I don't think you have much of a case, sir.
What about all this money I've given her? I mean, you know.
Yeah, you were staying there, and if you paid for the joint living expenses and you paid part of her rent.
For 2 days?
No, I
A week?
So, 2 days a week, sometimes 3 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week. What do you want me to do? I'm not going to go week by week and figure out whether you were living there 2 days a week, 3 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week, sometimes on the weekends. I don't think that that's what this was about. I think that you gave her money because she needed it at the time.
Your Honor, may I...
And you were living there, and you were involved in an intimate relationship with her.
The thing of it is, with this money that was given to her, it was all verbally agreed, hey, I'm getting a settlement. I'm getting a settlement in October, and I will pay you a lump sum of money once I get my settlement from the accident.
Did you reduce that to writing?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Because, like I said, we were close friends. I took her word.
Close friends is not what you were.
I just don't know anyone else that would do this to me, you know, if you weren't a friend.
No, if you were a friend, you might not put it in writing. But also, if you were not intimate with each other and planning on a future together, you wouldn't put it in writing because you were helping her out, and the anticipation was that you were going to be married and that you would get her settlement and be able to start contributing to the household that you were setting up. Did you write on any of those checks loan?
No, I did not.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's really not over because he doesn't know the meaning of stop, restraining order, or leave me alone.
Anytime I asked about money, she wouldn't want to talk about it.
He's been stalking me and coming around my house and stuff. I have a restraining order that he has violated like 3 times.
She's got 3 pending lawsuits right now.
The end is the end.
Don't be good to bad people.
I just want him to leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. And life goes on.
Computer systems analyst Hannah Lee is suing ex-boyfriend, 31-year-old computer engineer Ezra Blanche, for the return of a karaoke machine and other household items.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 446 on the calendar in the matter of Lee versus Blanche. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Lee, according to your complaint, you and the defendant had a long-distance relationship. You lived several hours away from each other, and you were in this relationship for a couple of years.
2 years. That's correct.
That's a couple.
Yes.
And you indicate in your complaint that while you were together, you would bring some of your property over there because you spent so much time there.
Exactly.
The relationship terminated, and you want your property back.
Correct.
The defendant says that you did bring some things to his house, and the things that you brought to his house were gifts. In addition to being gifts, he talks about money being taken off for vandalism and other nonsense. So we'll get to it in a minute. When did you start this relationship?
Mid-August of 1999.
And where were you living?
Portland, Oregon.
And where was the defendant living?
Tukwila, Washington.
How far is that?
180 miles.
And how often would you visit him?
Every single weekend.
So far, is that correct?
That's correct.
And when did you start to bring property to the house?
I wanted him to learn how to go to karaoke bars with me, and he wasn't comfortable with that. So I said, well, why don't I buy a karaoke machine and some CDGs? It's a very expensive system and microphones. And he already had a stereo system. And since we spent so much time there, that's the first time I bought that.
So you brought it to the house?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's one of the items that you want back, your karaoke system.
Correct.
What else did you bring there?
DVD player.
Why would you bring a DVD player?
Don't.
Sorry, Your Honor.
A DVD player. Well, tell me
Correct.
about that. Tell me how that came about.
Adam wanted to have a system downstairs. He bought a 65-inch TV downstairs with a DVD player. But then I said, well, I like to be upstairs because it's cold downstairs. And he says, well, we don't have a DVD player upstairs. So I said, all right, I'll go buy one.
Okay.
Just like that.
So you went and you bought one.
At Costco. I have the receipt.
And you brought it to the house.
I did, because I'm always there. Sorry. Sorry. I'm nervous.
Don't be silly.
I'm
Be
sorry.
nervous, but don't be silly.
I'm sorry, Judge.
Good. Okay, so you brought the DVD player over there so that you could use it upstairs because you were cold downstairs.
Yes, correct.
What else?
I have a list. Do you want me to show it to you?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, it's organized by level of importance.
No.
I'm sorry.
Listen to
I'm
me.
sorry.
Listen to me very carefully.
Okay.
I want you to tell me what things are yours.
They're all
Give me back
mine.
a list.
Everything on this list is mine.
Go, read it.
Okay, the CDG collection.
Slowly.
$1,500, a CDG player, $300, a DVD player, $245, a set of microphone cables and stand, $150, office furniture at Costco, $399.
She's been paid for these
Oh,
things.
shh.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Now let's get to the office furniture.
Yes?
What kind of office furniture?
It's a set because he had an office room. I didn't really like his office set, so I said, let's just go get a new one because I really liked him. I thought we were going to spend...
Strike that. Listen to me.
Okay.
Strike that off your list. If you say, you have a set, I really don't like it, I'm going to get a new set.
No, he wanted a new set.
Or he wanted a new set, and you said, I'll go get it. Go ahead. What's next?
Domestic stuff from Costco. We furnished his kitchen, and I furnished his bedroom set, comforters, pillows, yada, yada, yada. And I know you don't really... And then bathroom stuff, and then I also got him a tent for his car.
A what?
A tent for his car, which he traded in.
I'm curious, how did the tent come about?
He said that he can't drive a car without a tent.
Shh, please.
So he wanted one, so I got it for him.
Good, that's nice. That's a gift. Next.
And all the other furniture that I bought was like a dry erase board, wall, like I had 5 wall frames that I bought at an auction.
Well, what'd you bring them there for?
Because I moved out of my condo and I didn't have room for it, and he said he'll hold it for me.
Oh, really? Those things I want to hear about. What was that he said he would hold for you?
Well, because I didn't have room in my...
Tell me what it was that he said he
well,
would hold.
It's like a dry erase board. Well,
a what?
The dry erase board is like a large one that you can like write on. It's mahogany. It's really pretty.
I don't understand what that is.
Did you say dry erase board?
It's a dry erase board with mahogany sides. You pull it out, and you can like, it's a dry erase.
On it.
You write on it.
You have that, sir?
Yes, I do. But I gave her money for that, Your Honor.
He decided how much he wanted to pay me.
She paid $25 for it.
Just a second. He gave you money for it?
He says he did, but he did not give me money for it. He just says, I gave you money, and he decides what it's for. That's the way he does things. Okay.
Let's deal with 2 items.
All right, we'll just deal with the...
Let's deal with 2 items. If you're smart, you don't bring things to somebody else's house until you got a piece of paper that says the state of, where do you come from?
Washington.
Washington recognizes that this person and this person are husband and wife, they live together, anything they have is joint. You want to be a fool and bring over all those things to the house? Fine. You want to be a fool and pay for the tinting on his car?
Yes, ma'am.
You do that. But you don't come to court then and say, listen, you have to make me whole because the relationship didn't work out. Otherwise, I would be working 24 hours a day, and I don't like to work so hard.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Hannah Lee says ex-boyfriend Ezra Blanche owes for a karaoke machine, a DVD player, and other household items. Ezra says Hannah forgave the debt when she lost a bet.
Okay, let's deal with the karaoke machine and the DVD player. Let me hear, sir, your rendition of the karaoke machine.
Well, basically, the idea was to go half on the CDGs and things like that. But I didn't want to, I figured if we're going to break up, I don't want to have to deal with having to give it back to her, so I gave her money for these things.
You did? How much money did you give her?
Yes, I gave her $1,200 as payment on a lot of the things.
Let's talk about specifically the karaoke machine.
Okay, and the DVD player. The DVD player was actually a gift. As a matter of fact, that was a Christmas gift. But she's all about money. Basically, okay.
I'm not interested in your editorial comments. Just stick to the facts.
Okay. The fact is that she believes that she can throw money at something.
Listen to me. That's editorial. Do you understand what editorial means?
It's relevant.
I want the facts. When you say to me the DVD player was a Christmas present, that is your determination of a fact.
Okay, there's also
Then I will ask you questions about it. Right now we're on the karaoke machine. You say that you gave her $1,200 towards the karaoke machine and the other stuff that goes with it.
Correct.
Did he give you any money towards it?
He did give me money. However, that money was for the negative equity on his car because he drove a Camaro when I first met him, and he couldn't afford it anymore. And so I bailed him out. I had a...
That's incorrect, John.
Go ahead.
It was $7,000 negative equity, and he had to get rid of the car because his child support was going up.
So how much did you give him?
I gave him my Tercel. That's $4,500.
You gave him your car?
I traded in my car, and I bought a Mazda Miata.
So how did he get any money?
My car was the money, and I said, well, I lost my car in this trade, and he said, I would pay you $100 a month to help with your payments and stuff like that. So I took the $1,200 as part of the money for my car.
Did she help you out with your negative balance on your car?
Basically, she traded her car in on a deal, and I also paid money also.
I don't care about what you paid also. I'm talking about what money came out of her pocket. Are you following me? Did she, in the course of your relationship, help you out by trading in her car, which cost her some money?
It was also for her benefit, Your Honor.
Was it for your benefit?
Both, yes, Your Honor.
How much benefit did you receive from it?
$1,000.
Did you pay her back for that?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you paid her back the $1,000 in addition to the $1,200 that you gave her for the karaoke machine?
Based on a bet, Your Honor, yes.
Excuse me?
Based on a bet, Your Honor, yes, and also based on
What do you
vandalism.
mean based on a bet? Explain that to me.
She made a bet, Your Honor, that she would have a six-pack of abs in 30 days.
No, I don't understand. Didn't say a word that you said, sir.
She made a bet, or she made a wager that she could do something within 30 days. When she did not do it in the 30 days, she lost that particular bet.
She lost that bet, and who did she make the bet with?
With me.
So it's not that you paid her the $1,200.
No, I did pay her $1,200, Your Honor.
So what you didn't pay her for was the $1,000 for the car?
Correct, but we never agreed to pay on that.
So what debt was forgiven as a result of this wager that you had?
I have a list, Your Honor.
Of things that were forgiven as a result of the wager?
A list of things that she purchased and I've paid for either with the wager or with services or with vandalism.
Tell me about the vandalism.
Well, basically, she has a very, very nasty temper, and she has a problem with my past.
What did she do?
She put a hole in my wall. She kicked dents in my door. She put holes in my door.
Now, did she do this, and after she did this, you terminated the relationship?
Terminated the relationship several times, Your Honor.
All right, but you didn't terminate the relationship after each of these incidents, finally.
Actually, I did, and then she would always try to throw money back at me.
Whatever,
Yeah.
sir. You didn't. She punched a hole in the wall, you had a fight, she left, then she came back. Is that right?
Yes.
And you took her back, right? And she continued to come on weekends.
Correct.
That is what we call forgiving. You forgave those things. You don't come now and say, I sort of charged it off to debts and wagers. Listen, sir, you have a DVD player in your house and a karaoke machine, is that right?
Correct.
Does the karaoke machine work?
Yes.
And all the accoutrements work?
Yes.
And what about the DVD player? Does it work?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Pack it all up, because she's getting it back. Not all this other nonsense. But this she's getting back, because if you have a relationship that doesn't work out, clearly the karaoke machine you say you paid for, I don't believe you paid for it.
What about the damages, Your Honor?
I don't have a counterclaim for damages, sir. You never filed a claim against her for damages, did you?
No, I didn't have a chance to, Your Honor.
Well, chance. That's what we're here for. I don't have a claim. The karaoke machine you said you paid for, and then you did the negative equity in the car you didn't pay for, but then there was a wager, and she said, if I can spin around 4 times with a banana on my nose, then I will pay for it. Whatever the bet was. She lost the bet, so you said, that's baloney. Okay. Relationship is terminated. You have to do the right thing. The right thing is she invested a lot of money in electrical equipment for your house.
The DVD player was a gift, Your Honor.
Does it sound familiar to you that she said, let's put one upstairs because it's too cold downstairs?
Not exactly, Your Honor, no.
Well, what exactly? You said not exactly. Was that a no or a yes?
Well, she told me that I could forget about paying for that because she had done something in the relationship and she wanted to stay.
She said, you can forget about paying for it because
Right.
I did something wrong.
Correct.
A minute ago, you told me it was a Christmas present.
Well, on top of that, Your Honor.
Well, a minute ago, you told me it was a Christmas present.
Yes, Your Honor.
You see, when you lie, sir, what happens is you usually
Your
trip
Honor.
over your tongue eventually, you know? Eventually. You're giving back the DVD player and the karaoke machine. They're going back within 5 days. Pack them up. She will pay for shipping, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Court will prepare an order. Good luck to you both. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Are suing motel manager Eric Gala for charging a bedspread to her credit card. Eric says while staying at his Love Motel, the couple stole it.
According to your complaint, you were a guest at a motel that was run by or owned by the defendant. You left. You evidently signed a credit card for your stay. When you got your credit card bill in the mail, you noticed that there was an additional charge. You called up to find out what the additional charge was, and what were you told?
They said I stole the bedspread, a round bedspread.
Okay, and how much did they charge you for the round bedspread?
It was $80. It's not the money.
Shh.
It was just the principle that I would not steal something.
Absolutely. So what did you do when you saw the charge?
Well, first of all, this is my boyfriend of 3 years. It was our anniversary. And just for the fun of it, as a novelty, we went to this hotel that had a round bed and a jacuzzi. And he was surprised. I mean, I did it as a surprise for him. He didn't know. And it's, you know, it's for 3 hours and it's $75. And you go in and just use the jacuzzi. And then after we left, I didn't find out till a month later that they also charged me $80.
For the bedspread.
Right.
So what did you do when you found out about this $80 charge?
Yep, I called them and I asked them what's this extra $80 charge because it did not say on my charge card statement. And it was the woman in charge at the time, or I guess the lady who runs the desk. And she said, oh, it must have been a mistake and that, you know, she was going to look into it for me and then they would credit my card back. She told me to call back in 2 days, which I did. And she didn't have an answer for me. And then I called back again and then she said, well, the manager, his name was Eric Gale, said that I had stolen the round bedspread.
Okay. What date did you go to the motel?
It was May 30th. May 30th of last year.
And what hours did you rent this room?
It was from 8 o'clock to 11.
Is this a busy place?
I don't think so. It's a fun place.
This is not
No, but is it a busy place?
a five-star motel or anything like
No,
that.
I don't mean that. I didn't ask if it was a five-star motel.
You know,
I asked you if it was
it's just a
busy. When you
novelty
got
thing.
there might have been other cars.
Well, there might have been. I didn't really notice.
You didn't notice. Okay, Mr. Gala,
Yes, Your Honor.
let me hear you, sir.
Well, the clerk that she had mentioned that she called when she was disputing her charge explained to me that she was told to check with who she had stayed with. Maybe they misadvertently took the bedspread.
How big is this bedspread?
It's a king-size quilted bedspread.
You don't accidentally take a king-size quilted bedspread.
Well,
And it's
what-
round.
What we found in the past, Your Honor, when something like this happens and we go through this procedure, when we ask them to check, usually within 1 or 2 days it reappears and we reverse the charges, is usually what happens. When the clerk asked her to check with the person she stayed with, she was emphatic that she was with her husband and her husband did not take it.
No.
I did not say that.
And the maid, when she checked the room, had explained that the door was locked.
Oh, you can't tell me what the maid explained. The maid's not here. Where's the maid?
Well, she's been with us for 5 years. She would not have taken the bedspread.
I don't know who took the bedspread.
Who in their right mind would take a soiled bedspread from anywhere?
So far, it doesn't sound like you're having a problem here. Okay. They came to the motel. They stayed for 3 hours. Were you present that day?
I don't recall, Your Honor.
So you have no first-hand information about this case?
Well, the only thing that I can explain to you is that we're a family-owned and operated business for 50 years. Last 26 years, I've been managing it. The maid's been there for 5 years. We have a security gate all the way around the premises. We have traffic control gates.
You have the register of the guests that evening?
I don't have that with me, but I do have the credit card statement that she signed
No,
for the room.
that's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking you for the register of how many people slept in that room or stayed in that room on May 30th.
Just them, Your Honor.
You don't know that of your own personal knowledge, sir?
Yes, I have checked into that.
No, no, no. I want to see the register from the hotel for that date.
I was explaining to you they were the only ones to use it.
You don't know that, sir, because you said, I don't know whether I was even there that day.
No, I checked into it. I looked at the
I
paperwork.
can't rely on your checking into it, sir. That's why we're in court.
The maid does make a morning check, and
She's not here,
Okay.
sir. You're giving me hearsay.
Okay.
And you
Your
can't
Honor.
testify because, you know what hearsay is about? Hearsay is about my being able to cross-examine a witness, which is exactly what we're doing now. I'm examining you. I'm not just asking you questions that come out of here. I'm asking you questions to get facts. You can't give me the facts of your own knowledge. You can only give me facts based upon something that you've heard from somebody else, which is useless to me in court. So, you have to reverse their charge for the $80.
Yes,
They
Your
say they didn't do it. You have no proof that they did. Absolutely none. Right? That's admissible in court. So give them back their $80. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't like to be accused of stealing. I would never steal anything, and just the fact that I was accused of stealing, it was the principle of the thing.
bedspread was there before they entered the room, and after they left, we did check the room. The door was locked, and the bedspread's gone.
There's probably germs all over it. Why would I want to steal around bedspread?
This was the only registration card for that particular day.
I would never go back again. It was a one-time novelty thing. It was for fun. It was for our anniversary. We don't do that every
39-year-old personal trainer, April Thompson, is suing her former friend, 32-year-old construction worker, Lorenzo Aguilar, for the return of 2 English bulldogs.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Your Honor, this is case number 410 on the calendar, the matter of Thompson versus Aguilar. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
This case is about your 2 bulldogs, and you claim that the defendant, without your permission, gave away these 2 dogs. So my first question to you is, how did he come into possession, into custody of your 2 bulldogs?
He worked at the dog daycare place where I used to take them, and I got in a position this summer where I had to move out where I was living at, and I didn't really have a place to keep them. And
when was that?
Middle of September.
And what did you do? You called him?
I had been up there at the daycare place, and he saw that I was stressed and everything about the whole situation and stuff, and he said that his brother had a yard and that he could take care of them for me. Until
Well, you
I
must
found
have
a
told
place.
him that you couldn't take the dogs. You must have told him, I can't
Right.
take the dogs.
Yes.
And he said, I have a brother who has a yard.
Yes.
And what did you say?
I thought that would be great. You know, I would have a place to keep them until I found a place to stay and everything, and he told me that I could come and see them.
Did you discuss how long you were going to leave the dogs with his brother?
It was only supposed to be temporary, maybe a couple weeks.
So the beginning of October?
Yes.
So between the 15th of September, which is mid-September, and the beginning of October, did you have contact with him?
I called all the time and never got a hold of him.
So you didn't speak to him?
No.
Did you go over to the doggy daycare?
Yeah, I went to the daycare place and...
Did you see him?
No. He had lost his job during that time and was no longer working there.
How did you finally get in touch with him?
Finally, I think his family got tired of me calling the house all the time and coming by and leaving notes, and he finally got in touch with me, and he told me that he couldn't give me the dogs back because the kids were attached, And that wasn't the point of kids being attached. He was just supposed to temporarily take care of them.
When did you finally speak to him? What month?
In October.
Now, what was your living situation in the beginning of October?
I found a place to stay and everything so I could have them with me.
And you communicated that to him in October?
Yes, he said he was going to get a hold of the people who had them, and I didn't really understand what he meant by that because his brother was supposed to be taking care of them, and he said he couldn't get in touch with them.
How long had you had these dogs?
I've had the one 2 years and the other one 1.5 years. I mean, I have health insurance on them, and I don't even have health insurance on myself. I mean, I've make a scrapbook for my boyfriends of them. You know, they're my little boys. They're not really what I consider
Okay,
dogs.
Mr. Aguilar, let me hear your version of these events. Mid-September, she asked you what?
She came into the shop where I used to work at on a Friday afternoon, and she said she was having some problems. If I could watch them through the weekend. I said, sure. So once the weekend came up, Monday, I called her up. She said she was still having some problems. I said, oh, I'll watch them for a few more days.
Did you have her home phone or a cell phone?
I had both numbers.
Okay, go ahead.
So once those days came, I called her up, and I told her, you know what, I'm no longer working there. Come get your dogs. I couldn't keep them at the house anymore. So she says, I can't take them back if you could find them a home. And I said, my brother, he liked the dogs. He said, can you give him a try? I took him to my brother's house.
And what did she say when you said, I have a brother who can take care of them?
She said, fine. I said, yeah, there's no problem. You come and visit them once in a while. But it didn't work out at my brother's house. The landlord didn't accept the dogs there because they ruined the yard. Meanwhile, it was my brother's wife's cousin was in from out of town. He liked the dogs.
Did you call Miss Thompson and tell her it didn't work out at your brother's house?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes.
You did? You called her on her home phone or her cell phone?
Home.
And what did you tell her when you called her at her home phone?
I said that it didn't work out with my brother, that it was another family was watching the dogs now, that they wanted the dogs. And she told me to find a home. That's what I did. I just did what...
What did she say to you, sir, when you said to her, it didn't work out with my brother, but there's another family? Did she ask you who these people were?
No.
Didn't ask you anything about them?
No.
Didn't ask you whether they had children, whether they lived in a home, whether they had a yard?
Didn't ask me anything of that because 2 months passed by when she got in contact with me.
Not when she got in contact with you. I'm asking you, sir. You told me shortly after she gave you the dogs, you say you called her and told her about that.
Yes.
And she didn't ask you anything about these people. She said it was okay. Is that what you told me?
Yes.
And then months later, she called you and said, I want my dogs back.
Yes.
That's what you're telling me. December, maybe, she called and told you she wanted her dogs back?
The end of November.
End of November. And that was the first you had heard from her after you told her you were giving the dogs to your brother's wife's cousin?
Yes.
Now, Miss Thompson, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Did Mr. Aguilar call you and tell you that he was giving the dogs to his brother's wife's cousin?
No. As far as I knew, they were with his brother.
So you're telling me the beginning of October he never called you to tell you he was giving them to this other person? Now, if he had called you and said to you, my brother can't keep the dogs, but there's this other family, you would have asked him a couple of questions about the other family, right?
Right. They're my little family.
Can I see your scrapbook, please? While you were bringing the dogs to the doggy daycare, you brought them there while you were working, is that right? I'm talking about before this time, before you ran into some trouble during the summer.
Yes.
While you were working, you would bring them there during the day?
Yeah, normally on hot days because I do personal training and they go everywhere with me, so I couldn't. I kept them in the car a couple times with the air conditioner running, and you get a violation for that. So it was just a lot easier just to take them in to daycare and then come and pick them up.
And other than that, they were with you all the time?
Yeah, when they were puppies, they went in the gym bag with me.
Now, when you took them to doggy daycare, you had to pay for that?
Yeah, it's like $60 a day. Sometimes I pay more for the dog daycare than I do for my rent. You know, I mean,
I got you. Now, Mr. Aguilar, let me explain to you, sir, why I don't believe you. Because if you create a scrapbook like this of your pets, and if you pay a substantial amount of money for daycare for your dog, then a normal person, under the scenario that you created for me, when you said, I called her and told her my brother couldn't take care of the dogs anymore, but there was another family. The first question you would ask is, well, tell me about them. Where do they live? Do they have children? Is there a yard? Could I come to visit them? Because you said I could visit them when they were supposed to be with your brother. Now, you told me she asked you nothing, and all she said to you was fine. I don't believe that, Mr. Aguilar. Not for a minute.
Says former friend Lorenzo Aguilar refuses to return her 2 English bulldogs. Lorenzo says she told him to give them away.
Now, I don't know if you got any money for these dogs. English bulldogs are very expensive.
I know.
Very expensive, sir. So I'm not even going to ask you whether you got any money for these dogs. How much did you pay for them?
$1,500 a piece.
They're very expensive dogs. These people who you gave the dogs to, Mr. Aguilar, gave or sold or another way bartered these dogs for Mr. Aguilar, do they live out of the jurisdiction? Do they live out of state?
Up north in Fresno.
Have you spoken to them?
I contacted once that the previous owner wanted to visit, and they declined. They didn't want to have to do nothing with it.
Mm-hmm. Was any money exchanged for these dogs, Mr. Aguilar?
No.
And I see the police report that you filed the beginning of November. Did the police ever contact you, sir?
Yes.
I didn't have a write-up from the police with regard to their conversation with the defendant. Do you have any further follow-up from the police?
No, that's all that's all that I have. They told me that since I gave him permission to watch them, they're considered property, so I didn't really have a right, which it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me either, and I don't buy Mr. Aguilar's story, quite frankly, that he spoke to you and you said he was going to give the dogs away to strangers. You asked no questions about the people that he was going to give the dogs to. That doesn't make any sense at all. The value that you gave the police for the dogs was $3,000. Is that right?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson, I know this is going to be a difficult question to answer. If you receive a judgment, are you going to purchase 2 new bulldogs?
They're not replaceable. I can't replace
I know, but
them.
I can't give you back the ones that you had because I don't have the people before me who have them. Do you understand? If I could, I would, but I don't have those people. If I could force him to do that, I would, but I can't. Those people aren't here. So I'm going to ask you the question again. If you receive a judgment today in the amount of $3,000, is it your intention to, I can't say replace your dogs because you can't replace them, but would it be your intention to start again with 2 new puppies of the same breed?
I don't know. I didn't really think about not getting them back.
Well, you understand that he doesn't have them physically, so I can't get them from him. You understand that?
Yes.
Well, I'm at least going to give you an opportunity to think about it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'll try to get the dogs back for her, and I couldn't.
I need to make sure and get stuff in writing next time rather than just trust people and what they say.
Jessica Lentz, Anna Newell, and Kelly Kaloje are suing their former roommate, 19-year-old student Michael Conover, for breaking a lease. Michael says he never signed a lease.
All right, Miss King, you and your 3 co-plaintiffs were in college. You got an apartment, the 4 of you, and you agreed, according to you, to have the defendant as your 5th roommate. Is that right?
That's correct.
The 4 of you signed a lease? Correct. Is that right?
Yes.
The defendant did not sign the lease. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the 4 of you had agreed to share this apartment before the defendant came into the picture?
That's correct.
According to you, the defendant stayed until Thanksgiving when he unceremoniously left, leaving a mess, leaving the heat turned up, leaving beer cans all over, whatever. He left a mess. He gave you no notice. You want him to pay his share of the 5th of the rent for the entire duration of the lease, which is 1 year.
Correct.
And utility bills, et cetera. That's what your lawsuit is.
Yes.
The defendant says he was never on the lease and you were rude to his girlfriend. So that's why he moved out, and if you hadn't been rude, then he would have stayed. That's your defense, right?
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did not the defendant sign the lease?
Well, upon contacting...
Fast.
Okay. We contacted him. We told him what the lease was, a year long. We told him he had to go to the office and sign the lease.
But he never did.
He never did.
What'd you let him move in for?
He told us that he would.
But he didn't.
Correct.
And he lived there the entire month of September?
Yes, paid rent, paid utilities.
Entire month of September, entire month of October, and part of November, and you never saw to it that he signed the lease?
He told us that he had taken care of it.
Did you go down and make sure that he took care of it?
Well, the complex told us within the first month, Michael needs to go down and sign the lease. Okay, he didn't sign the lease. We didn't know that. But
okay. Now, ladies, after he moved out, what did you do to try to replace him as a roommate?
We tried to, we couldn't replace him because his stuff is still in his bedroom. He's got
throw it in the garbage.
We didn't know legally if that was okay because...
I'm telling you, why didn't you pick up your stuff?
I didn't have, all I had was a hatchback and another car to move my stuff. I have
Just
like
a second. Are you telling me that your stuff is still in your room?
I have my bed frame and mattresses, yes.
Oh, sir, then you have to pay rent. What is wrong with you, sir? You move out, and you have to put the apartment in a position where they can at least try to bring down their damages by trying to rent it. You're telling me that you didn't move your stuff because you have a small car?
No,
Is that what you're telling me?
No.
Well, why didn't you move your bedroom set out of there and your furniture?
I moved as much stuff as I could on the day that I moved out, but the reason I didn't get the furniture is because, like, I didn't have the vehicle to get it transported, like, to take it to my new apartment. I didn't want to come back while they were there because I didn't want there to be a confrontation. I didn't want there to be any trouble. So, like, and then I found out that they were suing me, so I definitely didn't want to go in there without anybody's permission to take the stuff. I didn't want to get any more trouble than I already
When
was.
did you ask if you could get your stuff out?
I didn't ask anybody. And I never
So
asked.
then you never asked anybody. So
No.
what you're telling me is you didn't move your stuff out when you moved out because you didn't have a big enough car.
Right.
Jerk. You moved out in November. Did you pay November's share of your rent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he pay November's share of his rent?
he paid November, yet he still has an August rent that he did not pay. He had a bounce check that he tried to pay. We have.
Did he pay August rent?
No.
So he's behind 1 month.
Right.
So far.
December.
Until the time that he moved out.
Correct.
Okay. How much was his share of the rent?
$220 plus.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
$220. November you paid.
Yes.
You didn't pay December. Is that right?
No, I did not.
And your junk is still there.
Yeah.
Your stuff is still there. January, is that right?
Yes.
Now, let's get into February. Have you tried to look for another roommate?
Well, the way our semester system works, we feel that it's impossible now to get a lease because of the semester has already started. People have already signed leases.
We have contacted our apartment complex. They said that every now and then they'll get people who want to sublease for a semester and a summer. We've contacted them, told them if anyone gets in contact with them to let us know, but so far they've had nothing.
Okay.
And Your Honor, we physically can't move his stuff. His
Oh,
bedroom
no,
stuff.
I'm going to take care of that right now. Okay? Thank you. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to make this very, very fast. Within 3 days, sir, you are to get an appropriate van at exactly noon.
Okay.
72 hours from today, you are to be at the complex to get your furniture. If you are not there, I am going to draft an order that they can take your furniture and donate it to Salvation Army. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand? Yes. Donate it to Salvation Army, give it away, throw it out on the street, call garbage. Anything that's there after 12 o'clock, 72 hours from today, is trash. Or sell it. Sell it. Do you understand? Now, I am giving you ladies rent for the month of August, his share, the month of December. Do you understand?
Yes.
The month of January, the month of February, and the month of March. That gives you more than ample time to try to find somebody to fill in for his share of the rent. The fact that they were rude to you, sir, is meaningless to me. You had an obligation. And instead of sitting down like a human being and saying, listen, this is not working out, let's try to find a way to resolve this, you just had a party over Thanksgiving and moved out unceremoniously. That's not the way adults behave. And according to you, you moved into a new apartment, which means that you had been contemplating that for at least more than 72 hours if you found a new apartment. Are you living in the new apartment alone?
No.
Who are you living there with?
With my best friend from back home and his girlfriend.
And what about your girlfriend?
She lives in the villas a couple doors down from where I used to live with them.
Oh, okay, good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,100. And in addition, the court will draft the order. You have 72 hours to get out your junk. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I did not have a party. There were no beer cans laying around. And I did turn off the heat a little bit because it was cold, and I did stay there over Thanksgiving night, but I didn't have a party.
We're 4 college students. We don't have money.
किरे कपड़े हैं किरे कपड़े पहने
आवाज तक कटे ना लिखा
तू क्या कर रहा है
नो
छेंकने तो नहीं पे गड्ढा था बच्चा तो पानी थी नहीं पे गया था
और एक हाथ में आंसू
देख रहा था
अरे दोनों साइड दोस्त नहीं ना रे ये गांडे खड़ी है